Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has made an agreement with Sandame Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Fail attempt on failing the Jonin exam. It was usual day in Konoha. Birds chirping, people sauntered on the village, and shinobis doing their whatever duties. This day in particular building, a group of children and a man with a slash scar across his face were doing something. This building was the ninja academy where young children trained since they were thought grown enough to handle shinobi's training. And at that particular moment the man who was apparently the teacher looked irritated and annoyed at a blonde-haired student who looked as if nothing was wrong in the world. On his side was two horribly half-done bunchins. "Naruto, you fail!" he barked out. Most of the students there laughed at the boy except a lone dark-haired child named Uchiha Sasuke who remained as stoic as ever to the outside world. Hi, replied the indifferent boy still looking uninterested. "May I back to my seat now, Irika-sensei?" Even before he answered, the boy named Naruto went back to his seat and plopped his leg on the table across him, looking at the ceiling bored out of his wits. The young teacher wanted to scold him for being so nonchalant, but at last kept it to himself. He was very worried of that boy. Naruto was the container of Kyuubi, the very demon who killed his family and thus making him an orphan. At first he despised the boy just like the other villagers were, but then he started to have a change of heart after he observed the cold, indifferent blonde boy. From what he knew, before Naruto entered the academy he was a very bright loudmouth boy who has probably a bundle of hidden energy somewhere for his hyperactivity to gain people's attention. But then 5 years ago, when he was only 7 years old, the bright personality ceased to exist. His grin changed into frown, and he no longer craved for attention. Instead he became such a closed-shell boy that he, or anyone for that matter, couldn't reach. He didn't try to make friends with children of his age or other ages for that matter. In fact, he tends to avoid any human contact as much as possible. The boy was practically shut himself from the world. Naruto always performed barely past ability, but the young teacher thought that he could do more than that. The boy didn't seem to care if he would graduate or not, and just dozed off on his lessons. Irika wanted to graduate him just to see that once cheerful boy, but he knew he couldn't do that, so he was forced to fail Naruto for the 4th time. Naruto was looking at nothing despite him staring at the ceiling above him. He might look nonchalant about it, but actually he was cheering inwardly. He made it. It was success. He will not become a genin. He wanted to become stronger, sure, but being an official genin of the Leaf meant that he pledged allegiance toward the very village where everyone gave him cold stares and hatred for something that he didn't do. Why should he become a shinobi if he had to protect the very village he despised? He hated this village and the villagers, and failing his genin exam was the best thing to do. After all, it was fairly easy. He only needed to twist his bunshin to make them appear dead and blotched up, and the teacher would fail him. The only reason he was attending the exam in the first place was just because Sandame threatened to cut half of his allowance if he didn't come to his exam, just like what he had every time the genin exam was held. "Stupid old man," he growled, "he only said to come to academy not to do well in genin exam, so there." Practicing the fire jutsu he got, or rather, demanded, from his tenant, Naruto looked up when his sensitive ears picked up the sound of fighting. Curiosity got the better of him. He neared the source only to find Irika and his other sensei he didn't like, Mizuki, were battling against each other. The favor went to Mizuki though. He wondered what the hell happened there. "Give the scroll back, Mizuki," Irika ordered, but the said person just laughed. "With this scroll I would be unbeatable. And I'll be stronger than Hokage himself." Naruto raised an eyebrow before rolling his eyes. "I see another power-hungry human figures. Human are so predictable," he scoffed. He saw Mizuki slash Irika's shoulder with a poisoned kunai, judging from its sick green color on its tip and the smell that nothing but a very sensitive nose could smell. Should he help him? But if he did, he would help Konoha, something that he didn't want to do. His decision made when his sensei dropped to the ground breathing hard as the poison started to affect his body and Mizuki stood before him, kunai ready to strike. "He better appreciate this, or I'll be the one who castrate him afterwards," Naruto grumbled. The man didn't deserve to die. He was rather different than others who only saw him as Kyuubi, and that got him on his few okay people list. With his blurry eyes, Irika looked up and saw Mizuki's kunai brought down to him. "So this is it, I'll die." He closed his eyes waiting for the inevitable. The sound of kunai's clang snapped him out of his mind. He watched another person protected him. Thank God, but he was proven wrong when Mizuki realized who he was. "Uzumaki," he growled in distaste. "Naruto?" he asked in disbelief. Now that he thought about it, the person was too short to be an adult, and there was no one ever made an umbu at such young age after Itachi. "You son of a bitch! How dare you ruin my plan?" "Whatever," the boy snorted. Mizuki wanted to retort something, but as if something struck his mind, he started to laugh, making the boy before him wondered whether he was out of his rocker. "Ku. Do you ever wonder about why the villagers hate you, boy?" "Mizuki, don't!" Irika cried out, but Mizuki laughed harder, making the blonde boy roll his eyes. You, save your breath, I have known about it since I was a child, moron. He smirked at the shocked faces from both people. Now, why don't we finish it? He smiled maliciously, then sent shivers to Mizuki. Why, you know why they hate you? A tone of disbelief came out of his voice. Of course I know. What do you think I am? Stupid? Then you know that you're a demon. The scroll thief snarled. Hardly. The thing inside of me is the demon. I'm only its container. There is a difference. Naruto yawned, much to his irate. Now, could we finish it? I want to have a warm bath after this. Gritting his teeth, Mizuki dashed with kunai on his hand. Naruto! Iruka shouted. The boy stood there doing nothing, only eyeing the traitor lazily. He yawned once more, hands still on his pockets. In the last moment when the kunai almost connected with his chest where his heart resided, Naruto simply sidestepped and brought his knee to the surprised Mizuki right on his stomach, giving him a heavy blow. Before the man could recover, Naruto brought his leg and stroked his back neck, making him kiss the ground and let out a muffled yell of pain. Is this all you can do? You said that you will be stronger than Hokage, but honestly, seeing your condition right now, I could say that that won't happen to a weakling like you. A Chunin got beaten by a mere genin. Ha! What a laugh! Naruto smirked as he placed his foot above the man's head. He backflipped to a branch to avoid a kunai from Mizuki, whose dirty face was red from rage. Oops, did I bruise your ego? He chuckled. Iruka was gaping at the sight of it. Was this person really Naruto? If he was, the boy really did a good job hiding his real power. You monster! Naruto sighed in annoyance. Haven't we already established that issue? You don't need to shout that loud. I'm not deaf, you know. Roaring, Mizuki lashed out 5 kunais to his direction only to meet with empty air, as Naruto dodged them like it was the easiest thing to do in the world. My. What a feisty temper you have. You really need to keep in check with your temper, he taunted, and it worked. Shut up, demon! He charged blindly. Naruto sighed at the blatant stupidity act. Why couldn't he get a better opponent, someone that was more challenging? He held Mizuki's wrist that gripped the kunai, and using the momentum he swung his body to a nearby tree right on his face. Smack! Yeah, that seems quite hurt. He waited for a moment, but he didn't give an indication of being conscious. He turned his attention to his slack-jawed sensei. What? No thanks at all? He smirked. Oh well, you could handle the situation now, right? He started to turn. Naruto, wait. Come here, he said, feeling the poison still inside his system. Quirking a quizzical eyebrow, the boy complied. Close your eyes. You're not gonna try to kill me, right? Because I tell you that it won't work. Iruka shook his head. Sighing, he closed his eyes. He felt him fasten something on his forehead. Blood was drained from his face. It couldn't be. Congratulations, Naruto. You passed as a genin. The blonde boy was as white as a sheet and he looked horrified. Nani. The shout rang from the forest and scared birds away. First impression. Naruto swiped all of the things on his kitchen table in anger. They were thrown to the wall and broke into pieces, much to his delight. He really needed to vent his anger. Everything went wrong. It went wrong because of a stupid teacher that didn't know what he really wanted. He punched the wall and made a small crater there. His knuckles bruised at the force, but in a second, the wound vanished, leaving an unmarred skin. Kyubi healed him. Thanks, furball, he smirked, and then paused. Yeah, I guess I am a baka, idiot, after all, he frowned. Tell him? How in the hell I tell him if right now he was in coma? I didn't even have the time to reject it when he just fainted there. Silent. Che, just leave me alone, he muttered and plopped down on his bed, sighing. Whatever, I won't come to academy. To hell with them, he closed his eyes and drifted off to Dreamland. Ninja Academy. The students were chatting happily. Today there would be real genins. They didn't care that Uzumaki Naruto didn't come. After all, only the ones who passed the test should come today. They turned around when the door banged open. All talking ceased to exist when they stared at an unfamiliar face. A black-haired woman came in. Her eyes darted over them, and she sent them a nasty smirk that gave them shivers. Her hair was short, and she wore a trench coat. She looked scary and intimidating. Since Yumino-san is currently ill, he won't be here now. Hokage-sama asked me to substitute him today. My name is Anko, and you would do well if you listen me or I won't be nice. She licked her lips and there was a scary glint in her eyes. The students gulped at her threat. They nodded hastily. Anko smiled. Good. She sat on the teacher desk and opened a folder. She took out a paper out of it. She scanned it and smirked before looking up again at the students. Team 1, Nakayuma, Raikutobe, and Yumatsu Takiha. She then continued with Team 2 and at last she called Team 7. Team 7, Harino Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke. A loud cheer from the pink-haired girl was quickly shut up by Anko's deadly glare. She meekly sat on her seat, but not before giving off a victorious smile at a blonde girl who scowled. And the other is Uzumaki Naruto. Team, Matt, wait, Anko-san, Uzumaki didn't pass the exam, Sakura interrupted. Don't interrupt me, girl. She winced. It was decided that he passed. Now shut up before I make you, H high. Gomenasai. Why yes. I'm sorry, Team 8, Aburaim Shino, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba. Team 9, Amain Haruki, Haneda Neru, Sanada Yukaim. Team 10, Naro Shikamaru Ino, Chuji, and I'm sorry, but I forget their surnames. I tried to remember it, but it was no use. Team 11, Hanamaru Ichigo, Furuhara Keiki, and lastly Hino Seiji. That's all. Your Jounin will soon pick you up here. The nasty woman exited the classroom. The new Genins were grouping on 3-men teams, all except Team 7. The pink-haired girl chatted happily to her crush, ignoring the fact that he looked irritated with her attitude. They were waiting for their Jounin to show up. All other teams were already picked up, but their Jounin was late. Sakura, tired of talking non-stop to unresponsive Sasuke, just looked at the ceiling. 2 hours later a silver-haired Jounin with a mask on his face came in. His left eye, and Sharingan was in Kakashi's left eye, wasn't it? Was covered by his leaf hideate. Yo, I'm sorry I'm late. There was a drowned cat in a river and I helped it. The Genin stared at his dry clothes before they looked up, clearly not convinced with his story. Where is your other teammate? He blinked and looked around. He didn't come. Stupid blonde boy, Sakura muttered the last part. Then we just have to pick him up. He took a paper from his pocket and read something on it. Come on, guys, they followed their Jounin sensei. Well, here is it. They glanced at Naruto's flat. He's on second floor. He hasn't even finished his talking when the pink-haired girl rushed to second floor, intending to give the blonde Genin a piece of her mind. Well, he looked at his other charge. She seemed to be in rush. Sasuke only grunted and crossed his arms. Uzumaki-ai-ai, she shouted loudly. Kakashi and Sasuke heard pounding sounds from upstairs before it was followed by a shriek. Locking their eyes, both Jounin and his charge darted to where Sakura was. Both of them raised an amused eyebrow when they saw her state. She was hanging down with a rope catching one of her ankle. She was covered with sticky goop and feathers. The girl shrieked at her state, especially when her crush saw it. The door of Naruto's flat opened by its irritated owner. Shut up. Don't you know that it's rude to disturb someone else's peace? Release me at once, you insufferable mangy blonde idiot, she yelled. And why should I do that, Pinky? Pinky! I'll show you that. Ma, why don't we resolve this with peace? Naruto and Sakura stared at him as if he has grown 2 heads. Who are you anyway? And what are you doing here? I'm your Jounin sensei, here to pick you up for our Genin team's first meeting. Naruto scowled darkly. Well, you waste your time then. Then he suddenly smirked. Have fun, he said when suddenly a barrage of kunais shot up from the roof. Kakashi and Sasuke, who was beside the older man, quickly jumped back. The sharp weapons hit the floor where they were seconds ago. Not good, Inu. Just as he said that, the floor beneath him cracked, and he almost fell if not for his quick reflex. Unfortunately for Sasuke, he was too late to react for it and fell with the floor. They heard a loud crash and Sakura yelled in fear for her Sasuke-sama. A moment later the dark-haired boy jumped from the hole with a skull plastered on his face. His body was covered with white flour from head to toe. The Uchiha Avenger looked murderously at Naruto, who simply raised an eyebrow and smirked. My first impression on you is that I don't like you, Kakashi stated. Naruto smirked darkly. Oh, don't worry. The feeling is quite mutual. His eyes glinted. Sandaime gazed at the boy he was fond of sternly. Naruto, I want you to attend the Genin exam, and that's final. Daoshite, why? I'm not interested in becoming a Genin, the blonde boy replied back without missing a beat. I know, but I still want you to attend it. I refuse, he said stubbornly. Then I'll just have to cut your allowance. The old Hokage shouted victoriously as he saw the disbelieved look. Yeah. That's not fair, old man. Naruto snapped, but he only smirked. Fair or not, you still have to attend the exam, he said boldly. Naruto opened his mouth, but then closed it again when he bowed his head and stayed silent. Sandaime hoped that he didn't crush the boy. 6th drawer book, he heard him mumbled. He blinked. What did you say, Naruto? 3rd shelf 5th from right. Huh! His eyebrow rose as he struggled to hear what the QB container muttered. Naruto looked up. His eyes were filled with a dark glint, and he was grinning from ear to ear. Sandaime didn't like his expression a bit. I said the 6th cupboard from right, inside the 2nd drawer from below, beneath the journal book. And then another in the 3rd shelf, behind 5th book from right. Sandaime's face paled. Naruto smirked maliciously. Do you want to hear about the other places? What about beneath the floor below your table, and then behind the 2nd? How did you know it? The old man asked in panic. Know what? He asked as innocent as he could. The old man wasn't fooled a bit. Know the locations of them. Well, that's a secret. He inclined his head to his right and grinned wider. Old man, you're such a pervert. To think that you have a full collection of that kind of book. I wonder what will happen if your daughter hear it, he said the last part in sing-song tone. Sandaime gulped. He clenched his fist. Fine, what do you want? He asked with raspy and strained voice. Jiraiya's student's son crossed his arms and sat on his desk, tapping on the surface. Now, why did you think I want something? The old man glared fiercely, making the blonde Ninja Academy's student chuckled. Oh fine. Man, you're not fun. If you want to bribe me, what about you doubling my allowance? He smirked as he gazed at his eyes unblinkingly. They stared for 5 minutes in a staring battle which was lost by Hokage. Fine, just go away, he huffed. Naruto exited the office with a renewed happiness. How did I get in this mess again? He took off his hat and then banged his head on the nearest wall, frustrated at being defeated with a simple blackmail. By a mere child no less. And Part 3. Likes, dislikes, dream. Ado. Naruto tilted his head to his right to avoid a punch from Sakura. You should pay attention on where you aim your punch, Pinky, he taunted the irritated girl. Shanaru. Stop dodging, you coward! She swiped the floor beneath him only to have the blonde boy doing a backflip and landed 3 meters from her. Then you should stop your assault, and I will stop dodging. You should be thankful that I release your leg from the rope. He looked amused at the feathers and goop-covered girl. Ma, both of you should stop. We don't have all day, you know? The silver-haired Jonin flipped a page from his orange book. Naruto snorted. Who said that I agree to go with you? He challenged. Let's start with introduction first, such as your name, likes, dislikes, and your dream. Pink-haired girl, you first. Kakashi pointed at the now clean girl. Sensei, we don't know anything about you. Why don't you start first? She replied. Me? My name is Hatake Kakashi. What I like is none of your business. My dislike is, well, that's none of your business too. My dream is, he trailed off. Now you, girl. What we get from him is only his name, Sakura muttered to Sasuke, who didn't reply back. My name is Haruno Sakura. I like, she peeked to Sasuke and then blushed. My dream is to be, she looked again at the dark-haired boy. Then she scowled. I used to dislike Ino, but now I hate Uzumaki more. She glared at the boy who merely yawned. Her anger rose to the point that made her face as red as boiled crab. Smoke could be seen came out of her ears. Kakashi's sweat dropped. The one with black hair, your turn, Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have any likes, but I have a lot of dislikes. I don't care much for hobbies, and I don't have a dream, it's more like a goal. My ultimate goal is to kill a certain man and to resurrect my clan. Blonde, your turn, he pointed to the last genin. You should have known about me from my data, so I don't see the point of introducing myself. Well, your data only shows about your official information. And you need to introduce yourself to your teammates so they know you better. Who said that I want them to know me better? He smirked. Ma, I don't think a bit of information will hurt me. Uzumaki Naruto. I like to be left alone. I don't like to be surrounded by idiots. You don't need to know about my dream, he stated. Great. Kakashi wanted to roll his eyes. Hokage-sama wanted me to teach a team that consists of love-struck girl, an avenger, and a troublemaker. What a day! If not because the Uchiha boy would most likely angered and do something foolish if he doesn't pass as a genin, and Naruto Arashi-sensei, what should I do to your cold-hearted son? Kakashi wanted to bang his head to the nearest wall, feeling quite frustrated. Ma, even if Hokage-sama asked me to pass them, it will be fun to see them sweat up a bit. With that in his mind, the fourth pupil turned to his genins. Well, now that we're properly introduced, I want you to meet me in Training Field 7. We will have survival training tomorrow. Demo, but sensei, we have already done that in academy, Sakura asked, feeling quite confused at what he said. This isn't the normal survival training, Kakashi smiled, but there was something that made the girl uneasy seeing that smile. What kind of training is it then? She asked. The Jounin chuckled. What's funny, Kakashi-sensei? She fumed. Ma, it's just that when you guys hear this, you're definitely gonna flip. This earned him confused look from Team 7, except Naruto. Out of 33 graduates, and I made that there are 11 teams, and each has 3 students, remember? Only 9 will be chosen as a genin. The rest will be sent back to the academy. Naruto's eyes lit up at the obviously good news, for him, at least. Eehee! The only girl in the team yelled in shock and disbelief. Even Sasuke's jaw clenched. But we have already graduated as genins, she protested. Kakashi shook his head. That's only the first part of the test. The second part is a test that consists of whatever the Jounin instructor decided. The big forehead girl wanted to cry here and there when she heard it. Sasuke frowned while Naruto smirked. I advise you not to eat breakfast or you might puke tomorrow. Dismissed. With that he disappeared from their eyes. Naruto stood up and jumped down from the roof and then ran back to his flat, leaving the other 2 alone still stood frozen on their place. He opened his door and went to the kitchen where his refrigerator stood. Opening it, he opened a can of milk and drank it. He wiped his mouth and smirked maliciously. I can't wait to see you survive my survival training, sensei, he said the last part wickedly. When Sasuke arrived on Training Field 7, he didn't expect to see Sakura dumped on a 2 meters deep hole acting like a scared rabid dog. There were tears on her eyes, and she didn't seem to see him outside. The pink-haired girl tried to climb the hole frantically to no avail. Her mind didn't work at all. He wondered what happened to her that made her acted like that. There was nothing inside that hole and she acted like ghosts swarmed her. Apparently she even forgot how to jump. 2 meters wasn't deep at all. Only untrained academy student couldn't climb that. Bugs, ah! Get away from me! She shrieked. He blinked. There are no bugs inside that hole. Then something clicked inside his mind. Genjutsu. He contemplated whether he needed to help her or not. He scratched his head and sighed. As much as he disliked her, if he didn't help her there was a possibility that she would end at mental institution after this. And he didn't want her parents killed him for not helping their daughter before he could avenge his family's deaths. Oi, Haruno, catch my hand. He didn't want to jump inside, not wanting to know what his number one crazy fangirl would do to him if he did that. So he only offered his hand to the girl. She looked up terrified when she heard his voice and then screamed very loudly that he had to withdraw his hands to cover his eardrums as he cringed at the shrilly loud voice. Stay away. Stay away from me, you disgusting piece of slimy worm. Sasuke gaped. Sakura ran to the other side while waving her hand to swipe the imaginary bugs that swarmed her before. Apparently she was more terrified of him than the bugs. A vein popped on his forehead. Slimy worm? That bitch. He has lowered himself to help her, and she dared to call him that. He stood up and walked away, gritting his teeth. Now, he really hoped that she would end at the mental institution, so she could never bother him anymore. Just as he walked 3 steps from the hole, a rope caught his left ankle and pulled him up. Sasuke widened his eyes. He quickly took a kunai and slashed the rope that caught him before landing on the ground. The moment his left feet touched the ground, it gave away, and he, Uchiha Sasuke, for the second time in 2 days fell into a hole. He almost groaned when he realized this, but caught himself remembering that he was the last and heir of the respected Uchiha clan. He grabbed the edge of the hole and sighed, while wondering just what was the hissing sound below. He climbed, and when he was already outside he looked down into the hole and widened his eyes when he saw just what was making the hissing sound. Snakes as in snakes, reptilians with no legs, slimy, with 2 divided tongue in the end, and of course not to forget that some of them were poisonous. He shuddered when he realized what would happen to him if he fell in the hole. He vowed to never ever have a deal with Snake in the future. And the irony. Don't you think so? Too bad for him he didn't notice that it was only genjutsu and that there was nothing inside the hole besides sticky goop. Deciding that the ground was dangerous, the dark-haired genin leaped to the nearest branch only to slip because of some slippery liquid someone, wink wink, applied there. He balanced his body, but not before he felt something snapped. Just as he touched the ground, while hoping that there won't be any hole anymore, 10 kunais shot up at his direction. He deflected 8 that would get him if he didn't do something, while he let the other 2. Unfortunately for him those 2 kunais weren't meant for him, but for 2 transparent strings that were attached to another trap. 2 giant logs were swinging at him. Sasuke reached for 2 kunais and sliced the ropes that held them. Too bad for him that the maker of this so-called trap has anticipated this. One of the logs landed on the end of a well-covered plank. And as it was heavy, the other end of the plank came upwards and launched the thing that was put there. A tied bag was thrown to him. It was not over, however, when the other log set off another trap and a barrage of kunai launched and destroyed the bags. The content of the bag was poured out. White flour was all he saw, and not wanting to repeat the same thing as yesterday, Sasuke leaped to his right only to have himself blocked by an invisible object that was obviously covered by genjutsu. He was too late to avoid the flour now, and he could only turn his back so his face wouldn't be covered by it. Grumbling, he turned again when he was sure that it was over. His eyes twitched when he felt like his back needed to be scratched thoroughly. He scratched his back, but the itchy feeling didn't leave him, instead it became worse. His eyes widened in rage when he realized what the flour was. It was itching powder. He gritted his teeth and swore that if he ever found out the one who built this trap, he would torture him. Heading to the nearest water source he knew of, a nearby small river, Sasuke refrained his hand to scratch his back, hands, head and legs. He was cursing all the way. He had to face off against some simple kunai and shuriken traps that he easily disposed. His desperation to get rid of the itches motivated him to move faster than his usual max speed. He was really glad when he saw the blue color of water in distance. He looked up in alert when he felt himself stepped on something that would most likely trigger a trap. Much to his relief, there was nothing barreled up on him. His relief was short-lived, however, when a rain of kunais with some of them holding explosive tags launched toward him. His eyes widened. The sound of explosion rang throughout the training field 7 and beyond that. The people who trained on field 4 to 10 whirled their heads in shock, stopping their activities. They were trying to find the source of the earthquake and the abnormally loud sound of explosions. Yes, explosions, not explosion. Apparently the explosives set each other off and made a series of blasts. What the fuck is wrong with this place? A scream of frustration was heard throughout the forest. Naruto opened his eyes lazily. A smirk plastered on his face. Judging from its sound, the Uchiha heir was in the first layer of the trap field he built. He chuckled, wondering when the boy would pass through all 3 layers and arrived at the design point, which where he was right now. He wondered what happened to the pink-haired kunoichi. He was sure that he has heard her terrified shriek and knew that she was caught in genjutsu trap on the first layer. He hoped that her mind didn't snap and she became crazy because of severe trauma. Now if only the annoying Jounin appeared. Deep inside him, he heard the fox laughed at his mischief while giving him advice and ideas to enhance his traps. Naruto grinned mischievously. Nah, I just want to prank them, Not killing them off, he rejected the ideas, although he stored them for later use. Naruto impatiently drummed his fingers on the log he was sitting on. An hour had passed since the meeting time Kakashi had set up. He had yet to show his face anywhere on Training Field 7. He would have either heard the man's screams or one of his foxes would have informed him of his arrival. Well, at least Sasuke and Sakura were still providing ample amount of entertainment. Though the shouts and explosions had stopped about 15 minutes ago. Were they just resting or were they giving up? It was so early in the game it would be very disappointing if they had given up. They were only in the second layer of traps after all. Naruto raised an eyebrow when his fox informed him that Sasuke went to help Sakura for the second time. Apparently after Sasuke had finally gotten all the itching powder off and running into at least 3 more log traps that set off an assortment of others, he decided that he needed help to get out of here. Unfortunately for him, the only other person around was Sakura, who had called him a slimy worm earlier that day today. The poor boy was all battered up, thanks to some holes he had covered up. After finally reaching Sakura, he was able to cancel the genjutsu. Sakura became even giddier after her crush saved her, but she felt embarrassed and a little guilty when she remembered that she had called Sasuke a slimy worm. Together, they were able to avoid many of the traps Naruto had set up. Unfortunately, when they did accidentally trigger a trap, they often set off almost all of the traps that they had already passed. And since the traps in second layer were harder than in the first layer, well, you get the idea. Naruto sighed happily as he removed a folder from his jacket. Life was so good. Naruto opened the folder and started to read. Inside the folder was all the information he was able to gather about the two who were stuck in the second layer of traps and a certain silver-haired Jonin. Naruto agreed to come to the introductions so he could learn more about the people he was dealing with. He was willing to bet that if hadn't agreed to come with them, then Hitaki would have told Sandaime about it. He already knew Sasuke's and Sakura's names, but he didn't know anything about their lives. He hadn't known anything about the Jonin until the meeting where he learned his name. And that was all he knew about them. Wanting to find out more about his teammates and his new sensei, he created a shadow clone and had it henge into a middle-aged Jonin. Naruto watched his clone walk past the guards that were supposed to be watching the building against any trespasser, and it gathered the data he desired. Sometimes Naruto wanted to laugh at the lax security here in Konoha. They should have checked all the people who entered the building. His clone didn't even transform into any Konoha Jonin, only relying on the Leaf Hideate and Jounin Vest for identification. Kagebunshin no Jutsu. That was the name of the cool jutsu he used to get past the guards. He learned it while watching a Jounin, who he didn't know, fight a group of bandits who had been found near Konoha's borders. With Kyuubi's guidance, he was able to successfully recreate the jutsu and was able to improve the clones a bit. Now his clones could withstand 4 hits before they would poof. Naruto reads Sakura's file next. It seemed that she came from a non-shinobi family. Besides the fact that she was an only child, all the other information was either rubbish or things Naruto already knew, so he went to the next file, Sasuke's. Sasuke came from the Uchiha clan, who made up the majority of Konoha's police force. The clan possessed a bloodline ability, a jujutsu called the Sharingan. The Sharingan allowed members of the clan to copy jutsus and see through any genjutsu. Maybe he needed to research more about this so-called Sharingan. Sasuke's father was the clan's leader. His mother retired from being shinobi after she married his father, and Sasuke had a brother named Itachi. He raised an eyebrow and whistled when he read that Sasuke's clan was slaughtered by his own brother, and he was one of the 2 survivors of the once proud Uchiha clan. Naruto tapped his chin. Was it his own brother that Sasuke wanted to kill? Uchiha Itachi needed to be researched too. Now for the last file that contained information about a certain silver-haired Jounin. Hitaki Kakashi was the son of Konoha's White Fan who committed suicide because Konoha blamed him for the failure of a critical mission. Naruto shook his head sadly. This was another mistake Konoha had made. Kakashi's mother was the typical housewife. She died from an illness, and I don't know if this is true or not. Kakashi became a Jounin at a very young age, but remained with his genin team comprised of Uchiha Obito and Rin, and, what's her surname? They were under the guidance of Kazama Erasure. Naruto's jaw dropped. Kakashi was his late father's student? Now he wasn't expecting to find anything this shocking. Damn, he needed to read more about his father than just his techniques. He wondered whether Kakashi knew that he was his sensei's son. He wanted to ask the silver-haired Jounin about his father, but Kakashi would be most likely suspicious of him. He didn't want anyone to know that he knew that he was Yandaime's son. He shook his head and continued to read. P.S. He read it out loud. Kakashi is also known in Konoha as the Jounin with the greatest late record so far. Naruto shrieked. He is known to be 2 hours later than the agreed time, so as a precaution for important missions, please tell him to come at least 3 hours before the designated time. Naruto closed his folder in annoyance. No wonder why the Jounin hasn't shown up yet. Naruto perked up when he heard an interesting comment. Kyuubi. Punishment, eh? Why not? He replied. Naruto smirked maliciously. The blonde opened the file once more and retrieved Kakashi's home address. Naruto got up and started to collect kunai and shuriken that had been used in the traps that had already been triggered, so he wouldn't need to buy more of them. He needed to buy another bag of itching powder, some wires, 2 gallons of brightly colored paint, and more explosive tags. Well, maybe not explosive tags. He wouldn't want to be sued for property damage by Kakashi. He could buy them anyway, for reserve, just in case he needed them later on. Naruto thanked the Hokage for this. Believe it or not, the third actually gave him an allowance for pranks. Of course, that wasn't without a promise on the blonde's part. He wasn't allowed to damage any public property and not to prank the villagers. Even if he accidentally did, none of the clues should point to him. So far no one suspected him of those pranks. Almost everyone believed that it was the work of a group of hooligans because the pranks would occur in different places simultaneously. In the villagers' eyes he was a demon, and in the shinobi's eyes he was known as a demon, or a boy who had not talent as a shinobi. The only ones who knew that it was actually him who did the pranks were the Hokage, the insane woman named Anko who lusts for blood, a guy named Shiranu Ginma plus his sickly friend named Hyatt something, and maybe the nasty head of interrogation named Marino Ibiki. Thankfully they were all on his okay people list. Well, maybe Anko wasn't too okay, she was crazy and bloodthirsty. Naruto remembered a prank suggestion that she had made. When he told the third about it and asked if he could do it, the old man immediately yelled a no. Too bad, her idea was very creative, and he'd like to use it and maybe even improve it a bit. He remembered that Kyuubi once told him that he liked that woman. Naruto only rolled his eyes, knowing those two were bloodthirsty creatures. 50 meters from Kakashi's house, Kyuubi told him that the man wasn't in his house. Naruto smirked. He got into the house, avoiding all of the traps and alarms inside. He even tinkered with some of those traps and alarms, improving them with his own and using them as he liked without triggering them. His clones arrived with what he needed and they started the real work. Naruto thanked whatever deity up there for letting him see the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu that day. This jutsu was a real heaven's gift for a prankster and trap master like him. In just 5 minutes they were done with the pranks. The 3-layered trap that he made in the training field 7 was made in an hour without him, only his 15 clones. He only needed to pour chakra for genjutsu since his clone wasn't advanced enough to use any genjutsu. The only ninjutsu they could do was henja at the moment, but he promised himself to improve them more. Having a demon sealed inside him was a curse, but also a blessing, especially when the said demon was Kyuubi, who had a very devious mind. Not to mention that he had the intelligence and power to back it up. Kyuubi's only downsides were his arrogance and his tendency to underestimate anyone. That was how he ended inside his belly in the first place. He underestimated the fourth and let him finish the seal because of his arrogance, thinking that it wouldn't do anything to him. When he knew what happened, it was already too late. Shut up, Fox. It was your own fault you let my father seal you inside me. Pause. Hey, it wasn't my fault that my father chose me to become your vessel. In case you forgot, I wasn't able to say no at the time. Naruto jumped from Kakashi's window after dismissing his 5 clones and ran toward Training Field 7, wondering whether Sasuke and Sakura had finished with the traps yet. Geez, your arrogance is your own downfall, he snorted angrily. His relationship with the fox was kinda a love-hate relationship. Okay, maybe not love, because he would never ever love the demon who caused him trouble in the first place. Kyuubi hated him for what his father done, but he couldn't do anything now, so he decided that Naruto had to pay for it by wreaking havoc to the village. Naruto himself hated the fox because he was blamed for something he didn't do, but the fox was his only chance to become stronger. Plus he also hated the villagers, so he didn't mind annoying them. They made a deal. Kyuubi wanted to have a strong vessel. A weak vessel would make the fox a laughable material in the demon realm, and weak vessels had the tendency to suicide. Also, if Naruto died, so would Kyuubi, and he didn't want to die even if it meant he needed to train the boy whose father was the one who sealed him. Naruto wanted to become stronger. Kyuubi hated his father, and Naruto also blamed his father for his misfortune. Both of them didn't like Konoha. They decided to work together. It's been 5 years since Naruto found out about Kyuubi and communicated with him. That was their relationship then and still was even now. There was no love lost between them, and it was this relationship that they were most comfortable with. They didn't need to like each other to work together. Survival was the most important thing for them. Naruto found the trunk he had previously sat on. Taking a moment to sit down, he then put 2 fingers to his lips and then whistled without sound. No more than 30 seconds later, 5 small red foxes were sitting below him waiting for his instruction. He told 2 of them to search for Kakashi, 1 to search for Sakura and Sasuke, and the other 2 to stay with him. He jumped down to the ground and sat below the tree and petting the purring foxes sitting on his stomach and to his side. 2 minutes later, the red fox on his belly, a red fox with a black strip on its neck, perked up. It paused for a second before it yipped. Naruto smiled. The fox he asked to search for Sasuke and Sakura had found them. He put his hand on the black-stripped red fox and closed his eyes. Images bombarded his brain. Sasuke was bandaging the wounds he recently got. 2 meters across from him, Sakura was angrily trying to remove the mud that covered her strawberry-colored hair. Naruto smirked. He asked the fox on his belly to tell its friend, who had its eyes on both genins, to continue watching them. He withdrew his hand from it and laughed loudly. He stopped when the fox on his left side yipped. His smirk grew wider. They have found the Jounin. He placed his hand on its forehead and immediately saw Kakashi in his mind. The Jounin was standing in front of a stone that Naruto remembered as the memorial monument reserved for shinobi that died on a mission, or to put it simply, killed in action. He wondered what he was doing frozen in front of the stone. Did the Jounin have any friends whose name was carved there? One of the fox got closer, so Naruto could see the names. He thanked Kyuubi for his enhanced eyes. Naruto saw Obito's name there and realized that it was the same Obito that was his father's student. He understood the implication, but growled when he decided that even if Kakashi used his sweet time for his dead friend, didn't mean that he needed to be late for everything just to remember his teammate. It wasn't professio, the heck. Why did he care about shinobi professionalism? He sure as hell didn't want to be Leaf Shinobi, and if Kakashi wanted to be late for Leaf's meeting, that was good for him, wasn't it? After all, it would be Konoha that got the blunt of his lateness. Still, it was him now that was waiting for the annoying Jounin. Shaking his head, Naruto quickly sent 5 clones to reinforce the traps on the way between them. The Jounin needed to be taught not to stay late when he was meeting with Naruto, or the consequence would be dire. 30 minutes later, Sasuke and Sakura arrived. Dirty, wounded, torn clothes, angry, and of course not to forget wounded pride in Sasuke's case. What happened to you? You look like as if you were mauled by wild beasts or something? Naruto couldn't keep the amused expression off his face. The two whipped their heads in surprise. They hadn't detected his presence. When Sakura saw his clean state, she was angry. It was you, wasn't it? She bellowed. Me? It was me what? He replied as innocently as he could. It was you who set those freaking things. Sasuke glanced at them, and then narrowed his eyes at the blonde. Why did you think I'm the one who built those traps? He asked calmly, but his lips twitched, holding his laughter. See? You knew about the traps and you didn't trigger them. That means that you were the one who built them. She yelled as loud as she could. Maybe it was you who couldn't avoid simple traps like though. Shut up, okay, he shrugged in a way that infuriated her much more. With his 2 foxes in his hands, Naruto jumped higher on the tree to avoid her wrath. Good choice, because the pink-haired girl was ready to kill him. Not that she could, of course. She didn't seem to realize that Naruto had 2 red foxes with him, but Sasuke saw them and he stared at Naruto with an unreadable expression. A loud surprise shriek sliced through the silence of the forest, quickly followed by a barrage of explosions. Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other. They sympathized with the poor soul. Unbeknownst to them, those triggered traps were more dangerous than the ones they faced off. Luckily, it was a Jounin, a genius one at that, who faced those traps or he wouldn't survive. 15 minutes later, after seeing 2 high-level Katan jutsus break through the treetops and fly into the air, a disheveled silver-haired Jounin walked in limp covered by sticky green goop. Sakura made a disgusted moan after seeing it, and thanked heaven that she wasn't the one who received it. Mud was much better. It would dry up and was much easier to remove than the sticky goop. Sasuke and Sakura immediately glared at Naruto. The culprit was clear now. If the Jounin himself was also at the receiving end of the prank, then it meant that the clean one was the culprit. Unless the Jounin made a mistake when he made those traps, but that was unlikely. Yo, he greeted the 2 incredulous genins. I'm sorry I'm late. I was running from 4 colonies of bees that attacked me. Sakura almost yelled liar when she saw his face, even the parts covered by his mask, and his hands were full with swellings. She gulped and nodded sympathetically. Kakashi blinked when he saw his soon-to-be student's states. He then looked up to where Naruto was. His clean state and the wide grin on his face confirmed his fear. Anyway, since most of us are not in the state to receive the test, and I don't think I'm ready to test you, I will postpone this test for 1 or 3 days. Meet me here at the same time. Don't be late. A snort came from above, but Kakashi ignored it. And don't eat or you'll puke. Dismissed. This time Kakashi walked away instead of poofing out. The 2 genins gaped in disbelief. They endangered their lives moving through the traps, and now the Jounin easily dismissed them just like that. And now they had to face the traps that haven't been triggered again. Nani. This time Sasuke joined Sakura as they bellowed incredulously at the Jounin who was not in their sights anymore. Naruto grinned. Mission success. Now he only needed to hear about the other traps. Kakashi was wrong if he thought that he was already safe. Inside him, Kyuubi chuckled. Even if he was sealed, at least he got a decent vessel. Sarutobi Asuma tapped the table in front of him impatiently. He was currently waiting the other Jounins to hear the Genin exam result. So far, only Shirane Genma arrived with the news that his team didn't make it, while Asuma's team members were succeed in becoming real Genins. The 2 Jounins looked up when the door opened, and 3 people entered the room. Yuhi Kurinai, a Genjutsu specialist, walked in with satisfied look plastered on her face, so Asuma could conclude that her team passed the test. Now, Gekka Hyde's and Yuno Korugi's faces were more difficult to read. Hyde brought his hand to his mouth and coughed. Asuma never understood why the sick shinobi didn't stop being shinobi. The sick Jounin always seemed as if his life was on thread and would die if he fought against enemy shinobi, regardless his excellent sword technique. Korugi was a silent jounin and his face betrayed no emotion, so Asuma gave up on reading him. So, the cigarette-obsessed jounin started. How are your teams? My team passed, Kurenai smiled. Inuzuka Kiba is a very energetic kid and a loudmouth, she added afterwards. Inuzuka, isn't that the dog user clan? The red-eyed woman nodded. Yes. The other one is Aburaim Shino, a very quiet boy and creepy if I could add. He uses bugs. The jounin woman shivered at the mention of bugs. Ugh, I hate bugs, she exclaimed. And I also got the heiress of Hyuga. Her name is Hinata. She is very shy though, and didn't have any confidence whatsoever on her bone. Hopefully I can make her more confident after some training. So you got a Byakugan user and 2 animal specialists in your team, Genma voiced in. What about you, Hate? The jounin asked his sick friend. Hate coughed before answering. They failed, he simply told them that. Can you elaborate about your team? Kurenai rolled her eyes. Men, Nakayuma is an average genin. He's rather shy and preferred to stay alone. He's Kajiro's son. Raikyotobe has good taijutsu but really sucks at genjutsu. His ninjutsu is average. Yumatsu Takiha is a troublemaker and like to start a fight, but doesn't have the brain to support his brawl. Nothing interesting about them, he coughed again. What about your team, Urano-san? Kurenai asked politely. The quiet shinobi was her acquaintance, but she wasn't close with him, so she called him with his surname. My team consists of a main Haruki, Haneda Neru, Sanada Yukaim. Nothing interesting about them. They failed, he took a seat beside Asuma. Well, my team is the next generation of Yamanaka, Nara, and Akimichi. The Yamanaka girl, Ino, is really loud, he winced at his memory. Nara Shikamaru is even lazier than his father, but he has the brain. Akimichi Chuji is well in Akimichi, I guess. Asuma scratched his hair, not knowing how to describe his food-obsessed genin. I guess it's my turn, Genma chewed his metal toothpick. Team 3, Rihara Shinju, Kaoru Arisa, and Wamaki Hana. Rihara seems to be a leader type. He has good reflex, but is quick to anger. Kaoru is a genjutsu user like her mother, but she lacks the experience to use it on battle and is easily scared. Hana is a strategist. I'd say that if she has a better team members than the other 2, she could pass the test. Alas, the team failed. The 5 shinobis talked for a while as they waited for their comrades to come. 4 hours later, the only one that hasn't come was only Kakashi. The others have said that their teams failed. If Kakashi didn't fail his team, then the jounins had to pick up 3 genins from the failed teams to be the new genins. They didn't know that Sandaime has decided that Team 7 will pass. Why am I not surprised when he is late? Kurenai asked annoyed. Oh, Kakashi, my eternal rival, you shouldn't come late for a meeting like this. You could corrupt the burning Konoha use. Guy exclaimed tearfully. The other's sweat dropped at the sight. Guy was the last year genin team sensei, but he decided to take part in the meeting. Ignore him, one of the jounins, a female medic named Haika Shiori, said. The rest of the jounins completely agreed with her. Half an hour later, someone with silver hair entered the room. Kakashi? Asuma gaped at his comrade's state. The other jounins gawked at the silver-haired jounin in disbelief. Even Yuno and Hate raised their eyebrows. Ah yo! The son of Konoha's White Fang scratched his back in embarrassment. The jounins there were wondering what happened to the genius shinobi. He looked as if he had a great battle and got his butt kicked. His face was red, not because of embarrassment, but because of the small red swellings he got. He got a bandage on his forehead. His left arm was bandaged and some locks of his hair were colored blue, green and red. Even Guy couldn't say anything when he saw his rival's state. I'm sorry I'm late. I have met with a little devil that caused me some problems that I have to cancel the genin exam, and when I came home, I triggered the newly placed and my own tinker traps that I have no doubt that it was done by this little devil. And after that I have a problem with some polices because my neighbors sued me for public disturbance. Because of the blaring noise from my speakers that was part of the traps. He cringed at his memory. Silence. The jounins continued to gawk. Anyway, I'm late because I have to wash myself because of some traps. Go to hospital to get my injuries healed and go to Hokage's tower to request a genin team to fix my completely messed up house and go to the police for my case, he added. It was actually Hate and Genma who broke the silence. They looked at each other, knowing the real identity of this little devil before blowing in laughter. It broke the ice and the rest followed their leads. Kakashi's face was as red as tomato now. Kurenai thought that it was cute, since she never seen the cool and collected Kakashi look so flustered and irritated like that. PFT, Genma smirked mischievously. Now, that's what I call a good reason unlike your other lame reasons. He picked his toothpick. So who's this little devil? I thought that you peeped some girls in bath and they caught you, Kurenai asked curiously. Oh, Kakashi, you shouldn't let anyone beat you. It was my job as your rival. Guy clasped his hand. Or does this mean that a new rival has risen for me? The others ignored the green beast of Konoha. So, how's your team? Team 10 Sensei asked. Kakashi sighed before he took a seat in front of his smirking comrade. Like I said, I cancelled the genin exam because of my injuries, so I haven't known their abilities yet. I have told them to meet me again in 3 days. With the added injuries I got in my home, however, I think that I should make it 5 days. Anyway, from the introduction yesterday and the short meeting today, I can conclude that Uchiha Sasuke is a bit suicidal with the whole I'm better than you attitude. Haruno Sakura is a love-struck girl who doesn't have a motivation to be a kunoichi except to ogle at Sasuke, and Naruto is a real pain in the ass with a very devious mind and really, really creative. I admit that he has gotten the better of me with his mind-boggling traps that landed me in this state in the first place, the silver-haired Jonin growled. That's Naruto, alright, Genma snickered. Kakashi shot him a suspicious glare. Naruto? One of the Jonins raised his eyebrows. The Kyuubi's vessel? He asked in disbelief. Shirioka-rin was a fair shinobi. He was one of Konoha's shinobis that survived Kyuubi's attack. And even if his sister was dead that night, he didn't blame Naruto like the rest of the villagers done. He knew the difference between the blonde boy and Kyuubi. He didn't act hostile with Naruto, but he also didn't act civil either. He was skeptical, because he didn't know that Naruto actually had a rebellious streak, considering how quiet the boy was. Well, that proved that the saying "you shouldn't judge a book from its cover" right. 5 of the Jounins were making a face at the mention of the boy. It was clear to see that they hated the blonde boy. Ren shook his head sadly. It was unfortunate that some people let their hate blinded them. Wait, so you meant that this little devil was Naruto? Kurenai gaped. Damn, that child really had done a great bang job on Kakashi, the so-called genius shinobi. She wasn't sure herself that she could wound Kakashi, but here it was, a 12-years-old kid kicked the silver-haired Jounin, but Kakashi lose to a 12-years-old boy. How could it be? The Jounins rolled their eyes. There should be a law that stated imbalanced shinobi should be sent to mental institution. Asuma was quiet. Say, what if we make a bet? That got the attentions of all. Naruto sneezed. Damn, someone must be talking about me. The blonde boy rubbed his nose in annoyance. So what do you want to talk, old man? He asked rudely to Sandaime. I have heard about Kakashi's misfortune. The old man's lips twitched in amusement before his face returned into serious mask. And? Naruto drawled with a smirk on his face. I must insist that you don't do it again to him in the future. And why should I comply with your request? Naruto teased. Because I request it. Sarutobi yelled in frustration. The Kyuubi's vessel raised an amused eyebrow. That's not really an adequate reason, you know. Try again. He will be your team's sensei, and it would be best if you be good with him. Hearing this, the cheerful act was gone, replaced by a cold mask. Hokage's heart sank seeing it. Who said I want to become a shinobi for this village? Naruto narrowed his eyes. Tell me, why should I pledge my allegiance to the village who hate me? He hissed. They don't hate. Yes, they do. And you know, so don't you dare denying it, old man. Why else they threw glares, insults, and even assassination attempts, if not because of their hate to me? Sandaime was silent. And for all I know, I could have just leave this pathetic excuse of village. But you didn't leave, the old man pointed out. That's just because you will send your umbus to drag me back here. He snapped. But I'll tell you that when I'm strong enough, I will leave this accursed place, no matter if you send your hunter Nin to hunt me down. If that time comes, will you destroy Konoha? Sarutobi asked bluntly. He was filled with dread as he waited for the answer. The blonde boy in front of him snorted. Those people aren't worth my time, but if Konoha decided to hunt me, I won't sit back idly either, he grunted. There was a long silence in the room, before the Hokage looked up with a renewed determination. Naruto frowned, wondering what the old man was planning. What if I told you that I will grant you permission to leave Konoha at will as long as you become Konoha's shinobi and help it in the time of great need? Of course that would be after you passed as a chunin at least. Well, Naruto had to say that this was an unexpected development. Even the fox demon inside him was speechless at hearing the offer. That was a great offer, actually. The old man must be pretty desperate to have him as Konoha's shinobi that he offered something like this. He wondered why though. Was it because he was Kyuubi's vessel? Or was it because of his father who was the fourth? Naruto opened his mouth, but closed it again. He consulted with Kyuubi for his decision. After a long moment of silence, the two came into a decision. Fine, I'll do it. The old man breathed a sigh of relief, but Naruto hasn't finished yet. But under some conditions, Sarutobi looked up with a frown. What are they? 1. If I'm attacked by some of your people, Naruto frowned. No matter that they are shinobis or civilians, I have the right to retaliate, and won't be punished for that. 2. He didn't give the old man a chance to speak. You will give me that permission no matter if I become chunin or not. After all, how can I be sure that the examiner would be fair to me? You'll give me that permission right after the next chunin exam this year. Don't interrupt, I haven't finished yet, he said when the old man opened his mouth. 3. I won't use Konoha's hideate when I'm outside the wall. 4. What I do outside will remain outside, Konoha won't interfere with my life, and I have the right to reject any mission you send to me. I will help Konoha when it was needed, that's all. 5. I could take any mission I like even if it isn't from Konoha. And 6. Give me more allowance. The third was dumbfounded at the last request. Well? Naruto asked impatiently. Then I want you to promise that you won't kill them, Just incapacitate them if they attack you. Naruto shook his head. If they're civilian, I won't kill them unless they pass the boundaries, like injuring people close to me or send assassin after me. But I can't say the same for shinobis. Whatever mistake they do, they have to pay for the consequence, Naruto argued firmly. Alright, that will do. And I'll grant you permission only and only if you complete the entire exam. It doesn't matter if you become Chunin or not as long as you complete the exam. I think that's fair. Go on, you only take mission from non-Konoha people that doesn't endanger Konoha's safety, the blonde nodded. And for your allowance, I will give you a bank account with 6 years' worth of money, and I'll add your family's money there. If you spend all of them in a year, I won't give you anything. My family's money? You know my family? Naruto pretended that he didn't know about his family. They're dead. That's the only thing I can tell you for now. Don't ask any more. Fine, who cares about them anyway? There was a sad glint in Sarutobi's eyes when he said it, but Naruto honestly didn't care. I will prepare the draft today for the official record, go back here tomorrow, and I'll have it ready by then, Naruto nodded. He exited the room when the door opened, revealing Kakashi. The two shinobis just stood there, staring at each other. Naruto broke the silence and smirked. Something happened to you? You looked as if you were mauled by rabid dogs, Naruto mocked. See you in 3 days then, the blonde boy passed the Jonin. Actually it would be 5 days, the silver-haired Jonin scowled. Naruto turned around. Oh? Why? He asked innocently. The older shinobi glared hard at him, but Naruto didn't waver. I have an unfortunate incident that will take my 5 days' time, he growled. Tell Sasuke and Sakura when you met them. Naruto's father's pupil turned from Naruto and walked toward the sighing Sandaime. You call me Sandaime-sama? Naruto snorted and closed the door as he exited the room. It seemed that he had to change his plan. He might haven't promised the old man that he wouldn't prank Kakashi, because Naruto and Sandaime were preoccupied and forgot about it completely when the old man gave the offer to Naruto. But since he agreed to be Konoha's shinobi for the sake of his freedom, he wouldn't prank him in their next meeting. That didn't mean that he wouldn't prank him and his teammates after that though. Naruto cackled evilly along with the fox inside him. Naruto's prank mishaps 1. With a wide grin, 8-year-old Naruto jumped from the big window of Sandaime's office. Concentrating his chakra on his palms and feet, he calculated the right time to cling on the wall. He quickly stood up on the wall and ran toward the ground. With a chuckle, the blonde boy escaped from the Hokage tower and vanished into the darkness of the night. The next morning, with a binocular on his hands, Naruto spied Sandaime's office. The old man should have entered his office in about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. The door opened, revealing the old Hokage and a black-haired woman that Naruto wasn't familiar with. Damn, I miscalculated the timing, Naruto mumbled. Oh well. With that, there was a loud explosion coming from Hokage's tower, followed by a series of loud sneezes and curses. That's strange, I'm pretty sure that I inserted itching powder, not sneezing powder. Naruto frowned. Taking out his backpack, he opened it and searched for his itching powder. He took out a bottle of white powder and gave an inaudible gasp when he read the name of the powder. Super sensitive pepper? Guess I was too much in a hurry when I snatched this bottle. Naruto went back to his spying and saw that the guards that were stationed there ran toward Hokage's office and sneezed violently just like their leader and the unknown woman. Naruto looked down at the transparent bottle on his hand. Sensitive indeed, he smirked mischievously. That was the first time Anko met with Naruto's prank. Sandaime, Anko, and the Chunin guards weren't able to perform their duties, and to sleep too, in about 2 days straight, because the medic Nin couldn't help them with their violent sneezing problem. The next day, Naruto ordered a new batch of super sensitive powder and put them in his hidden cabinet where he usually put his highly dangerous prank substances for his next prank. End. Part 7. The Bell Test. Naruto knocked the Sandaime's office door loudly and entered the room when he heard it come in from the leader of the Leaf. The old Hokage didn't look up at the blonde and instead searching something on the mount of paperwork piles in his table. Inwardly, Naruto wondered why did the old man accept this job, since it seemed that it just brought headache, judging from the frustrated look plastered on the old man's face. Ah, here it is! Sandaime cheered joyfully when he found what he searched for, a small scroll with Hokage's signature. This is our contract. We only need to seal it off with our bloods, Naruto nodded. He carefully read the scroll sentence by sentence. It wasn't like he thought that the old man couldn't be trusted, but more thinking that he probably forgot to write some of the conditions. After giving a double check, Naruto bit his thumb and smeared his blood in the spot above his name. He gave it to the Leaf's leader, who quickly did the same like him, only it was above his own name, instead of Naruto's. I also have transferred the money to your account, but I haven't yet sorted out your parents' money. It will take almost a week to deal with your inheritance, he explained. The blonde Jonin candidate only shrugged as he took the contract scroll. He tuned and touched the door knob when Sandaime called him, and Naruto, please don't prank Kakashi the next time. I won't make any prank for the next meeting. But after that he trailed off before giving a smirk to the old leader. Sarutobi sighed as he watched the QB vessel exited his office. Kakashi, I can't do anything for you more than this. From now on you're on your own, he mumbled. Naruto held back his laughter when he saw a bedraggled Jonin candidate coming closer. The dark-haired boy had a flock of his hair singed and 2 cuts on his clothes. He was a bit dirty as well, even though it was nothing compared to what he looked like 5 days ago. A scowl marred his face. The Uchiha heir has arrived at Training Field 7. The young shinobi gave a death glare that was of course being ignored by the blonde, much to his irate. Sasuke sat on the ground below a tree that he deemed far enough from Naruto and settled there, trying to ignore the smirking shinobi who currently played with 2 foxes around him. They were different from the foxes he last seen Naruto with, he noted. 15 minutes later, a more disheveled-looking genin candidate arrived. She appeared to be pretty tired and her pink hair was a mess. She didn't even give a look at her crush, something that Sasuke was both glad and curious at the same time, but understood later, as she stalked angrily to the young blonde. Naruto whistled at her state. She looked like she was dragged out of her bed and didn't have time to prepare. Forget to set up your alarm, Haruno? He chuckled and quickly stood up and doing back flip to avoid the upcoming punch. His foxes jumped to avoid being hit too and ran to the forest. You're too slow, Haruno. One might think that you are already over 50 years old, he mocked. It was really easy to get a rise from her, and he really enjoyed making people irritated, especially when it was Leaf Citizen or his enemy. I didn't forget to set up my alarm. And this is your entire fault for ruining my favorite clothes. She punched again, but Naruto jumped to the tree above them. Her inner Sakura was cheering for her host to give some harsh lesson to the prankster. Now, I just helped to fix your fashion sense, he said cheekily. His foxes yipped in agreement, but Sakura's mind wasn't on the animals. My fashion sense? My fashion sense? She was practically shrieking now. Naruto rubbed his ear to add her anger. What do you know about girl fashion sense, you male? She couldn't find a word to describe her loathe toward the boy above him. Do you know how long I was preparing myself for Sasuke Kyuin? Nope. Nah, Naruto shook his head in mirth at the panting girl below him. The pink-haired girl pulled her hair angrily, making her hair messier than before, much to the 2 boys' amusement, although the Uchiha boy hid it well with his indifferent look. She screamed in anger loudly before she went away from Naruto in rage. 15 minutes later she already back to bug Sasuke, much to the boys' irate and Naruto's mirth. 10 minutes later and Kakashi still wasn't there, so Naruto made a shadow clone to replace him when he used the time to train, without the other 2 genin candidates knowing. 2 hours later the 2 genins were on the verge on searching Kakashi and mutilated him. After dealing with Naruto's traps, Sasuke really wasn't in the mood for waiting the silver-haired jounin while an annoying fangirl budged him all the time. Sakura was torn between her anger for waiting the jounin instructor and was with the annoying blonde boy. She didn't know that it was a Kagebunshin playing with the foxes that returned from the forest after they deemed that the situation was safe again, and happiness to have more time with her precious Sasuke-kun. A loud yell from the forest gained their attention and the 2 genins looked around to find the source. Their jounin instructor appeared out of thin air in front of them. A cut was made in his jounin uniform and there was mud that covered his feet. The jounin looked rather annoyed as he gazed at the grinning blonde in the tree. You're late! Sakura shrieked as loud as she could, making Sasuke, who was closest to her, winced. Kakashi ignored her as he gazed above him. I thought that Sandaime-sama has warned you not to make any prank this time. He gritted his teeth in annoyance, although the young shinobis couldn't see it because of his mask. I did promise him that I won't make any prank this time, but you see Naruto's, Bunshin's, grin grew wider. The traps you just met with are the remnants of the last traps that I built 5 days ago. That way I don't break my promise, Naruto remarked, much to the annoyance of the 3 people below. Fine. Let's get it done quickly. The sooner I can get you out of my sight, the better, Naruto shrugged before poofed out. What the? A second later Naruto, the real one, emerged from the forest, walking as if he owned the world. So, what's the test? The blonde said cheerfully, much too cheerful for their tastes. Giving a glare to Naruto after he understood what exactly happened, Kakashi coughed and brought forth 2 bells, gaining their attention. There are 2 bells here. He sent a glare to Naruto's direction when the kid rolled his eyes and looked at the silver-haired jounin with a yeah, I already know it. No need to say the obvious look. To pass as a genin each of you have to get a bell from me. But Kakashi-sensei, there are only 2 bells. The pink-haired girl commented. Well, I did say there are 2 bells here, didn't I? After being irritated by Naruto's traps and the reminder that he couldn't do anything to pay Naruto back for it, Kakashi wasn't in the mood of any interruption. He really didn't understand how this blonde kid could get under his skin so much without trying to lift any finger. He was usually cool, calm, and collected, and yeah, right, not easily angered by something trivial like being pranked. The girl blushed at the reprimand. But the son of Konoha's white fan held out his hand. The point is, the one who can't get any bell before 12 o'clock will be sent back to the academy. Kakashi smiled when he saw the expected reaction. What? Sakura shouted in shock. Sasuke was pale. Naruto, though, had to fight the urge to say, well, it's easy then. You 2 can try to get the bells while I go home and sleep. He had said to Sandaime that he would be Konoha's genin. This thought disgusted him, so he had to pass the test. He settled to yawn lazily as if there was nothing wrong in the world. Kakashi's eyebrow twitched at the sight. But you're a jounin. While we aren't even genin. The Haruno girl cried out. That's why if you don't give your best, you won't make it, Pinky. Sakura twitched at the nickname. The one who didn't get any bell won't get lunch. At this, Sakura groaned as her stomach grumbled. Sasuke looked annoyed while Naruto took out his bento with a grin. I have eaten this morning and already bring bento for lunch. 3 veins appeared on the shinobi's foreheads. The 3 were ready to castrate the blonde. Anyway, you have to come to me with the intent to kill to succeed. Now go! Just as he said it, a blur from his right rushed to the silver-haired shinobi, surprising him. He blocked the attack with a punch and felt the blur latched onto his arm after avoiding his punch. Kakashi's eyes widened when he saw a red fox clutch his sleeve with its small claw and wring his uniform as if it was rabid dog. Thank you, Chibi Kitsune. A cheerful greeting came out of Naruto's mouth, turned their attention to the blonde. They gawked to see him taking out the bells from a brown fox's mouth and petted it, making it purr in satisfaction. The red fox in Kakashi's arm let him go and went to the young shinobi too, expecting to be petted like its friend. Naruto stood up and threw a bell to Kakashi. I only need one, he grinned. Kakashi had the urge to bang his head to the nearest tree. The annoying blonde ruined his test. They were supposed to work together to get the bells to pass the test. And he couldn't say that he did it the wrong way, because there were no rules that forbid the use of animals, and it was also a form of teamwork between the animal and its master. And speaking of animals, his file didn't say something like this. Kakashi pondered for a while. The Hokage would kill him if he didn't pass the team. And his sensei in the underworld would come back to castrate him if his son didn't pass. So what should he do? He couldn't say that this test was supposed to be a teamwork test too because it was too early to say that, and they needed to understand it on their own. He had to improvise and quickly. Fine, Naruto, you pass. He muttered in annoyance. Meet me in the bridge in Zankaha district tomorrow at 7 p.m. for our first mission. Sensei's son or not, he was itched to kill the annoying genin. Wait, where's your hideate? Sasuke and Sakura observed him when they heard it, and noticed that he was indeed not wearing his hideate. In my flat. Why? As a shinobi of Konoha you should wear them all the time, the Jonin instructor reprimanded the scowling boy. It is a sign that we proud of being Konoha shinobi. A loud snort came from the young genin as he gave a chilly glare to Kakashi. Yandame's pupil took a step back in surprise. He knew that Naruto didn't like Konoha and its citizen, but to detest it this much. Proud? Are you kidding? Why should I be proud to be a shinobi of this fucking village? He hissed in rage. Then why did you become Konoha's shinobi if you hate it? You should just drop out of the academy. Sakura yelled. Sasuke wondered about it too. She froze when Naruto turned to her with narrowed eyes and even colder eyes. Shut your blabbing mouth, Haruno. Or I'll make you shut up myself. This isn't your business, Pinky. He scowled and left them. The 2 foxes followed their angry master. Kakashi sighed and shook his head. Arashi-sensei, what should I do with your son? He's so difficult. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi looked up and met the frightened face of Sakura. He sighed inwardly. Why did Uzumaki hate Konoha so much? Kakashi scratched his back. I can't say why, but just know that he has the right to hate Konoha. He noticed that Sasuke paid attention to him. Apparently he was intrigued by the blonde boy's act. Let's finish the test. Since Naruto has passed it, there will be only one of you that will pass. At this Sasuke looked confident, while Sakura looked scared, thinking that there was no way she could compete with her crush. Not only he was stronger than her, she also didn't want him to get mad at her if she bested him. Kakashi-sensei, she looked down timidly. I think I'll pass this test. There is no way I can do it. The said Jonin almost groaned in exasperation. Oh man, there goes my test. They passed, came the waited announcement from the silver-haired Jonin to his giddy comrades. Who? I told you they would pass. A black-haired Jonin with brown eyes shouted happily, thinking about the money he won. Some Jonins groaned knowing that they lost their bet. So how did they do it? The other also looked curious, even they who lost the bet. Kakashi slouched on the chair and sighed. He scratched his back. They passed, all right. Only it wasn't in the way any of us thought, so no one won the second and third bets, really. The second bet was when they would realize the meaning of Kakashi's test, while the third bet was who would realize the meaning of the test. The ones who thought that Team 7 wouldn't pass didn't bet on the second and third and instead would bet on the fourth bet, when Kakashi would tell them they didn't pass. And the fifth bet, how Kakashi would humiliate them. What do you mean by that? Asuma looked intrigued. Kakashi sighed once again and recited how his test was ruined. Naruto rammed the tree in front of him in anger and watched in satisfaction as it gave off from the power he hit it with and dropped to the forest ground with a loud crack and created a local earthquake. Stupid Hatake! He growled. Stupid Haruno! They should go to hell. The foxes around him yipped to soothe his anger. Naruto looked at the pleading looks the foxes gave him and sat on the ground. The foxes walked closer and circled him. The blonde's face softened and he scooped one of them, a dark red fox with 4 white legs that looked as if the fox wore socks. He lifted the fox with his hands and brought him closer to his face. I'm not angry with all of you, you know, Naruto smiled softly. It yipped and licked his face. Hey! It licked again. The other foxes jumped to him and played with Naruto. Naruto laughed and spent his time playing with his foxes until they felt tired and slept around him. Laying on the ground below a tree, Naruto gazed at the sky. The stars were twinkling brightly in the dark sky. Naruto took out his contract scroll. At least, we will be free soon, the fox inside him agreed. Ibiki glared sternly at the prisoner bound on the chair in front of him. I asked again, who is your hirer? He asked harshly. The man whimpered, but still clamped his mouth. Ibiki sighed. This was getting nowhere. He eyed at the broken shinobi in front of him. The man's fingers were broken, his arms were dislocated, and his face was rearranged. The interrogation squad has tried to make him tell his secrets since 7 hours ago, but the man still wouldn't talk. A knock on the door to the interrogation room earned the head of interrogation department's attention. Enter. Who the hell this was again now? Unless it was overly important, no one should interrupt any interrogation. A flock of blonde entered the room, and Ibiki's eyebrow rose. Naruto-kun, he greeted the boy with a grin, especially when he saw the bottle on his hand. You already finish it? He asked eagerly at the darkish purple liquid. His two subordinates looked at him and the 9-year-old boy back and forth, wondering what their boss was doing with the QB's vessel. He seemed rather close with the cursed boy. Yup. My new recipe. Just finished it 2 hours ago actually. Naruto glanced at the prisoner with an eyebrow. I see you have a tough one here, he muttered. Ibiki scowled at the captive. Yes. He's a tough one indeed. Care to test my potion? I need a guinea pig after all. Free of charge for this bottle, the Konoha shinobi smirked in a way that sent shivers to his subordinates, as well as the captive who appeared to be resigned with his fate. Of course, Naruto tossed the bottle lightly. A devious smirk was formed on his boyish face. The huge shinobi caught it from the air easily and opened the bottle cap. Purple smoke exited the bottle, and small insects crawled inside the dark liquid. Ibiki scrunched his face curiously. What does it do anyway? Well, the plan is to have insects inside it crawled inside your body. Make a real pain inside too, he added cheerfully. Ibiki squinted his face and observed the small insects inside it. The insects appeared to have sharp-like claws. The eyes were big and had tails too. He whistled loudly. He didn't want to know where the boy found these insects. Thanks, I'll use it. The captive's eyes widened. Ibiki-san, is it wise to use it to a prisoner when it is untested? A leaf shinobi came forward nervously. Nah. Beside, Naruto-kun needs a guinea pig anyway. What better way to test this potion than to test it on a prisoner? With that, his left hand cupped at the captive's chin and forced him to open his mouth. Ibiki poured half of the content of the potion inside. There was no reaction for a minute, and they were thinking that the potion has failed. When suddenly the prisoner's eyes widened and he coughed blood. He started having seizure and had breathing difficulty. Ibiki's assistants stepped back with a gulp. Ibiki stayed silent for 2 minutes. Now, tell me who is your hirer or I'll pour all of it inside you. The man looked horrified by the news, but he still didn't talk. If you be good and answered my questions you'll get the cure. The man answered his question, with difficulties of course, and Ibiki asked another question. The process was repeated for 10 minutes until Ibiki was satisfied with his findings. The cure, please, the man wheezed. Naruto-kun, where is the cure? He asked, only to see the blonde boy shrugged in indifference. I told you that it is my new recipe. I haven't finished the cure yet for maybe another day. The news flashed like a thunder to the prisoner who looked like he'd rather be killed than waiting and endure his pain for another day. Don't worry, if my calculation is right, the insects wouldn't eat him alive for another day until they needed nutrients for their larvae. The leaf shinobis, except Ibiki, went green and wanted to throw up. That sounded worse than the Abdurrahim's bugs. Ibiki looked alarmed. Larvae? They won't spread anywhere, right? Nah, that's the use of the liquid. The insects could only live near the liquid so you won't need to worry. I'll give the complete instruction how to use it to you. Damn, it works just like what I want. He grinned. Ibiki-sama, what should we do with this man? They looked at the writhing prisoner. Ibiki and Naruto stared at each other for a moment before they shrugged simultaneously. He just have to wait for the cure tomorrow, I guess, he said as if he was discussing the weather. Just kill me already, the man whimpered. Nah, couldn't do that, buddy. I'm a man of my words, I promise you the cure, and you will get it. You just have to endure for a day. Relax, the man was sobbing now as he wheezed in pain, murmuring something about how he wanted to be killed. His assistants looked back and forth between their superior, the writhing prisoner, and Naruto with shivers. They really didn't want to end the same like the man. Monsters was the thought that run along the two shinobi's minds when they thought of Ibiki and Naruto. Part 8. Naruto yawned widely, bored out of his mind. Today his genin team, Naruto suppressed a shudder for calling it his genin team, was supposed to do another measly D-rank mission. Though just like other days, Naruto sent his bunshin in his place to do his job while he was away training. There was no way he, the vessel of Kyubi, son of Yondaime, though most Konoha's people didn't know and the only ones who knew didn't know that he know, and Shinobi Extraordinary did a job as low as D-rank mission. It degraded his pride. The only thing he did was to get to Team 7's meeting place when his foxes sensed a silver-haired Jounin around and to arrive before his so-called sensei. The first few times he came, He was always being yelled at by the atrocious pink-haired teammate. Humph, she was more like an expendable sacrificial lamb. Thankfully that stupid incessant girl stopped it after a while. Though whether it was because she has given up or maybe it was because of the pranks he pulled out to make her life as miserable as he could without harming her, don't want to get an earful scolding from Sandaime, of course, he didn't know. One thing for sure was that she was never bored yelling at the lame reason that the Jonin instructor threw at them. Perhaps he needed to talk with Sandaime about this. Preferably a cut of allowance. That way that Jonin would, hopefully, didn't come late. Naruto didn't know why he even bothered to come. Obviously he had sent his bunshin to do his assignment, while he went back to his own training after Team 7 received their mission scroll. Perhaps it was just his way respecting the deal he made with the Konoha's current leader. After all, a promise is a promise, and he promised that he would become Konoha's genin even if he did it for his own sake, not for this pathetic village that was called a hidden village, which was wrong since it wasn't hidden in any way at all. For Kyuubi's sake, the village was built on plain sight, very stupid for a shinobi village really. Naruto, can't you do your own tasks instead of sending your clone? Kakashi asked exasperatedly at the blonde genin beside him. Why? It doesn't matter anyway. In a way I am doing my job even if it is indirectly, the blonde boy shrugged as he walked away from the team after they received a D-rank mission, weed the garden. His clone that he has just left behind looked back and forth between him and Kakashi. These missions are supposed to polish your teamwork, Naruto scoffed. As if there was teamwork to begin with. And this Jonin wanted him to polish this non-existent teamwork? He must be crazier than he first thought. I don't care about a goddamn teamwork. Plus, if you want to talk about teamwork, perhaps you should come on time to the meetings in the first place. That way I might reconsider. Note that you've done nothing to make me and those other two brats stronger. Are you really a fucking Jonin instructor? The way I see it, when there are dangerous opponents, those two would soon get their asses battered and hopefully get killed. They're lucky that at least I give them some training. Kakashi wanted to point out that it wasn't actually a training considering how many pranks Naruto executed inside his traps, but decided to shut his mouth. He had to admit that Sasuke and Sakura improved a little after facing those daily traps. The two genins were being more careful than they were 3 weeks ago, considering they had to predict whether Naruto put a trap somewhere to make their meeting more interesting. Thankfully he hadn't built trap like the 3-layered trap he had built weeks ago. The silver-haired Jonin watched as Naruto walked away from the rest of the team with a sigh. He felt like he didn't fit to be a Jonin teacher for failing his sensei on teaching his son. Alright, let's just get this mission done. Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto clone followed him. Naruto panted. He stared at the opponent in front of him with a smile. Not the kind of mischievous smile or the likes, but a smile that looked as if he enjoyed what he was doing right now. In the darkness of the cave, 2 red eyes glowed from the shadow. The figure growled and it immediately ran at the blonde in impressive speed that would probably took almost everyone off guard. But Naruto wasn't one of them. He jumped to the cave roof and planted his feet there. Naruto's eyes searched for his opponent in the darkness. He threw a kunai in the direction where he saw a movement there. The silhouette moved away from the kunai, and it made a sound clang when it flung from the rocky surface of the cave. Kitsune bai, Naruto whispered before he breathed a blue flame from his mouth toward the silhouette. From the light of the flame he could see the some parts of his opponent's body. 2 furry legs crouched on the floor. As it was ready to jump away from the burning flame, Naruto saw it jumped away and he directed the attack to follow it. It singed the opponent, and it growled in pain. The figure planted its feet to the rocky wall, and sent a green flame of its own toward Naruto. The genin's eyes widened and he hurriedly made a blue flame barrier in front of him. The green and blue flame met, and it created a brilliant light that illuminated the cave. His opponent let out a growl of annoyance out of its mouth when the green flame died out. 2 tails danced angrily around him. The blue flame shield was still there. Oh come on, Kibi, I only singed some furs, Naruto said to his annoyed opponent. No need to get serious. The 2-tailed fox turned its face away from him. Naruto sighed as he watched it sulked. How about this, I'll give you a bunch of meat. Its ears perked up and it turned his face to Naruto. It yipped in agreement. Naruto smiled. It was easy to make the 2-tailed fox demon happy when he offered food to him. Wait here, I'll be back soon. With that Naruto went toward the cave's exit. The next day, Argurg. I can't stand it anymore. Sakura banged the table Sandaime was currently using. She glared at the old leader who only raised an eyebrow at her behavior. Give us a better assignment, something more challenging. Not some measly assignment like catching that cat. I swear if Team 7 sent to catch that cat again, I'll wring its neck for the trouble it caused us. Who knows, that maybe that cat will actually feel grateful to get killed. Iruka stood up from his table. Sakura, you should know that you're still a genin, and you're not even a genin for a month. But Iruka-sensei, she whined. No, Iruka, let her say what she wants. The Hokage waved him off. The academy teacher frowned, but complied with his superior's request. Do the rest of you feel the same? Hokage asked the rest of Team 7. Sasuke nodded in agreement, causing Sakura to have hearts on her eyes. Carefully Sasuke took some steps away from her. Ma, I don't really care, the silver-haired Jonin said without looking up from his orange book. A giggle escaped from his mouth. Kakashi-sensei, you should give better example to your assigned team, Iruka said, enraged with the inappropriate behavior, but the Jounin ignored him. What about you, Naruto? Hokage asked, earning the attention of others. If that meant that I can get out of this village for a while, I agree, was the blonde's reply. Hokage frowned with his reply, but nodded. I see, then I'll give you a C-rank mission. But Hokage-sama, Iruka complained. I have decided it, Iruka, the Chunin nodded mournfully. Your mission is to escort a bridge builder named Tazuna back to Wave Country. A man entered the office. He looked like a haggard drunken man. My name is Tazuna, the super bridge builder. Naruto downed the rest of the introduction as he wondering how the man could coincidentally arrive just after his name called. He wondered whether the man stood behind the door for a long time until he heard his name called. Don't he have to take a pee or something? Naruto thought. Of course he had known that there was a man behind the door, but his presence didn't seem threatening and Sandaime surely knew about him, so he shut his mouth. What? This is my escort? They don't appear to be able to handle their mission, especially that blonde wimp. Hokage cringed at the insult. A kunai was Tazuna's hair and embedded in the wall he was currently leaning on. The super bridge builder gulped at the scowling boy. His eyes darted to his left and saw that some of his hairs were cut by the kunai. Insult me again and none will be able to recognize your corpse, not even your family, Naruto hissed hatefully. The silence in the office was only broken by Tazuna's stammering reply. Why yes, he nodded furiously. Naruto, you shouldn't do that to a client. Iruka scolded. The blonde genin rolled his eyes in annoyance at the pale teacher. Damn. He's still alive? And I had hoped that he would die from the poison kunai for the trouble he had gotten me, Naruto thought as he realized that it was indeed Iruka. He didn't really pay attention when the man argued with Hokage. Well, he won't be a client when I'm done with him, he smirked. Nah, mama, it will probably be better for all of us if we go back to our own houses to collect things we're needed in our journey. Kakashi tried to avoid the possible bloodshed. He knew that Naruto could be dangerous when he was annoyed, and he didn't want the younger shinobi to get killed because of his lack of understanding about Naruto. Team 7, meet me in 15 minutes in the West Gate. Dismissed. Grumbling, Naruto exited the office, but not before he gave a warning to Kakashi. If you're even a second late, Hatake, I will give you a beating that you will never ever forget. Remember that. He slammed the door loudly that it shook the office. Is the kid always like that? Tazuna asked nervously to no one in particular. Yes, was the simultaneous reply from Team 7, which make the Wave citizen became more nervous. Hokage sighed, hoping that Naruto wouldn't kill Team 7 and Tazuna in the journey. Naruto opened his drawers and took out some sets of kunai, shuriken, explosive notes, clothes, and other things he felt would be useful. He went to the kitchen and got some bottles of fresh water. He almost took some food too, but decided against it since it would just weigh him down. He could go on without food for days, and if he felt hungry he could always hunt for his own food. Grabbing his backpack, Naruto exited his apartment, but not before forming seals and placed them to protect his house from unwanted intruders that were surely will try to invade it when he went away. If they dared to break into his house, well, let's just say that the result wouldn't be pretty for the intruders, of course. He didn't place any prank trap there to avoid suspicion. Don't want anyone relate him with the infamous and mysterious prankster, of course. With a nasty smile imagining what the intruders would appear after they received his surprise, Naruto ran toward Konoha's gate. He found out that he was the first of Team 7 to arrive there. Tazuna was already there, and he fidgeted nervously when the blonde walked toward him. Apparently he was anxious for the prospect of being with him, especially if they were alone. Not that the genin blamed him for being frightened of him. Naruto sent a smirk to the old man and saw him flinch. Damn. But it was really funny. 5 minutes later Sasuke arrived to the spot only to see the bridge builder trying to stay as far away as he could from his teammate. Tazuna's eyes darted occasionally, almost every 5 seconds, to the blonde, who leaned to the wall behind him casually, to make sure he didn't come closer. Feeling a bit annoyed that it was Naruto that made the man frightened and not he, the vengeful avenger, Sasuke put himself between them to make sure the other genin didn't kill their client before the mission even started. It would be his first C-class mission and he didn't want to fail, just because the not-so-dead last decided to kill the bridge builder. Kakashi joined them a minute later. He glanced at his blonde student and then checked his watch before sighing in relief to note that there was still 1 minute until the design time. Seconds later, Sakura ran toward them panting. They let her regain her breath for a moment before they departed from Konoha. Kakashi was in the front with Tazuna a step behind him. Sasuke was behind them followed by a happy babbling Sakura. Naruto yawned as he watched their backs boredly. He smiled when he saw a reddish-brown fox followed him from the corner of his blue eyes. He gestured the fox to join him. It yipped happily and dashed toward him. Naruto grabbed the fox's body before it had a chance to bump his legs. He put it on his shoulder, letting the fox lick his face and purred. "Na Chibi-chan," its perked up. "Will you hunt for me?" It yipped again and nodded before it jumped down and ran. Naruto raised an eyebrow when he watched Sasuke narrowed his onyx eyes on him, completely ignoring the pink-haired girl that glomped on him and was trying to strike a conversation with her Sasuke-sama. Naruto smirked mockingly, infuriating the dark-haired genin. Sasuke glared, turned his back and started to walk faster, amusing the blue-eyed genin. There was no interesting event that day except for the occasional complaint from Tazuna claiming that he was tired. The group stopped and camped for the night in a small clearing near the road. The Jonin instructor told the genins to set up their own tents and gather wood for fire. Naruto simply sent a bunch in to collect the necessary wood. He didn't need to set up a tent because frankly he didn't bring any tent with him and he was used sleeping outside. Besides, Kyuubi would keep him warm when he felt cold, so he didn't need to worry about catching cold. The fox he had sent to hunt has come back with a brown rabbit on its mouth. Petting its head, he took the rabbit from its mouth and skinned it. "What are you doing with that poor rabbit?" Sakura shrieked accusingly. Apparently she has just finished setting up her tent and was on her way to gather wood when she saw the furry animal on Naruto's bloody hands. Naruto rolled his eyes. "I'm playing with a dead rabbit," he sneered. "What does it look like, Pinky?" he snapped irritably. "How could you? It's just a poor cute animal." Her eyes were full of tears right now. The other members of the group glanced at the two. Naruto looked at Sakura for a moment with disbelief plastered on his face. "Damn, and you call yourself a kunoichi? My, it seems that Konoha's shinobi standard has become so low that they allowed a pathetic girl like you to be a shinobi. If those other shinobis in Konoha are like you, I have no doubt that it will be reduced into nothing soon. If you meet enemy shinobi, what will you do? Pout at them and ask them to leave you alone?" he snorted. "Unlikely, Harino. If you can't do something simple like this, you should quit being a shinobi. You're a nuisance. Shinobi world isn't for a naive girl like you who only care about your hair, clothes, oh, and not to forget, love." Naruto said the last part mockingly. Sakura was pale and gaping at his sharp words. She looked around and tried to find someone to help her, but she found Tazuna covered his face with his straw hat and turned around, while her silver-haired sensei nodded at Naruto's word. Her heart sank when she saw her crush narrowed his eyes, staring at her as if she was a trash. Crying harder, she ran to the woods. "Sheesh, what a waste of time she is," Naruto scoffed, not feeling a bit guilty at all. He continued skinning his rabbit, and gave some of the raw meat to the waiting fox that happily tore it. "Sasuke has already gone to fetch the wood," Kakashi requested. "You shouldn't say that, you know the Jounin scratched his ear," Naruto snorted. "I only told her the truth. Whether or not she can accept it is her own problem." His bunshin appeared with the woods on its arms and it soon started the fire. "Yes, but don't you think that it was a bit too much? Just because she's smart memorizing all theories doesn't mean she is a good shinobi. If she can't face the reality when it faces her, it would be better for her not to become a shinobi. She can't fill her life with false hope and fantasies, and she should have known it before she even decided to become a shinobi." Kakashi sighed and decided not to argue with the blonde anymore. Tazuna stayed silent as he neared the warmth of the fire, but still kept his distance with the genin who was roasting the rabbit meat. His stomach growled at the sight of Naruto who calmly eating his roasted meat and Kakashi who ate from his food can. Both shinobis raised their eyebrows at the blushing client. "Do you by chance have other food for me, Kakashi-san?" he asked, feeling quite embarrassed. Naruto shook his head in annoyance and continued eating his rabbit, not caring that the old man's eyes were fixed on his meat longingly. Kakashi scratched his head and put down his food can on the ground and rummaged his bag before giving another food can like his to the client. The wave citizen eyed the offered food before looking at the Jounin. "I can't open it," he said bluntly. Kakashi took a kunai from his pouch and opened the can easily. "With our speed right now we will arrive at a small town tomorrow afternoon. You'd better buy your own food. Our mission is to escort you to Wave Country, not feeding you." Tazuna could detect a small annoyance in the shinobi's tone and quickly nodded. "Good." Sasuke was back with an arm full of woods. He put it on a pile near the fire and ate the onigiri he brought from Konoha in silence. There was still no sign of Sakura anywhere. Finishing his food quickly in a secluded area where the others couldn't see his face behind the mask, Kakashi decided to search for the girl. It would be bad on his record if he let one of his first genin team died in her first C-class mission because she was lost and got eaten by wild animals. Naruto eyed the leaving Jounin for a moment before snorting to himself, and went back to his own food. His fox that already finished its own meal yawned and settled itself in Naruto's lap. Tazuna looked at it in disbelief, wondering why a cute animal like it could be so comfortable in the devil boy's presence. When the Kyuubi boy finished eating, he licked the blood on his hands, which was a lot since he hadn't washed his hand after he skinned the rabbit, making Tazuna went all green and put down his food can. His appetite was killed the moment he saw it. Sasuke looked unnerved for a moment before composing himself. Naruto settled himself on a strong branch to sleep, while the fox was already gone on its own merry way. Two of his team members still haven't come back yet, but he could have careless with that, so he closed his eyes and drifted to sleep. 2 hours later, he was awake when Kakashi called his name. Naruto landed on the ground smoothly and walked toward Kakashi's voice. He found all members of Team 7, including the red-faced girl, because of crying, not blushing, and Tazuna have already gathered around the fire. "Ah, Naruto, sit down," Kakashi said to his student. The blonde sat across him. "I gathered you here to tell you the night shift for our journey." "Let me be the first guard," the blonde said firmly. "All right." Who's next? He asked the others. I will, Sasuke informed. Kakashi raised his eyebrow curiously. The Uchiha boy never volunteered for anything before. Okay, then Sakura will be the last one to guard. The girl shrank on her seat. Kakashi rolled his eyes inwardly. Apparently Naruto's words still have gotten her down. With me, she flashed a relieved smile to the silver-haired shinobi. The son of White Fang really didn't need a low-esteemed student right now. Hopefully she wouldn't be reduced to something like the Hyuga heir who was under Kurenai's watch. Now that would be a problem. He has met with the Hyuga child, and to say that she was shy was an understatement. Alright, let's sleep now. Naruto waked Sasuke up after 3 hours. Yes, he waved his hands lightly. Noting that all of them already slept, Naruto took a scroll from his backpack and read it. He already scattered his bunchins around to be on the lookout, so he didn't need to worry about any trespasser. When 3 hours has passed, he woke Sasuke and went to sleep. The next morning, the blonde genin stirred when he heard the birds chirping loudly. He yawned and jumped down from the branch he slept on and stretched his muscles. He walked to the fire only to find Kakashi was reading an orange book, giggling shamefully, and Sakura was sleeping. Checking his watch, he noted that it was 5:30 in the morning. What the? She should be guarding right now, not sleeping. Naruto shouted loudly, waking the others up, including the kunoichi. Oh Haruno, what the fuck are you doing? He glared at the guilt-stricken girl. Right now is still your shift. Are you so useless that you can't do something like this, right? Ma, she's tired, Naruto. So I let her to sleep. Kakashi tried to dissuade the situation, only to find his plan backfired. You what? God damn it, Hatake, you should make her do her own job. If you don't start to handle her hard, she would be even more useless than now. And I have no use for a nuisance like her. She was sobbing right now, making Naruto roll his eyes in exasperation. Was she such a crybaby before this? It seems that she became worse as time went on. If she didn't stop her useless crying right now, he'd kill her himself and used her as food for his pets, especially Kibi that would no doubt accept it eagerly. He saw Tazuna went to go to the wood, possibly to take a pee. Ah, old man, I have planted. A scream cut the air and scared birds away. Put traps there, so you should be careful, Naruto continued. His warning came late. Team 7, except Naruto, who shrugged as if it was nothing to worry about, dashed toward Tazuna, hoping that Naruto's trap didn't kill their client. Thankfully, none of the kunai hit the bridge builder, but one came close to the spot between his legs. It was easy to say that he was mentally scarred for life and started to act even edgier toward the blonde genin, if that was even possible. The journey continued, and after days in the road, Naruto had to watch his temper. His patience limit was being tested. It was a miracle that he still had patience dealing with the useless girl and didn't kill her right in the spot. Stupid Sandaime, and his promise not to kill any Konoha people who didn't attack him. He raised an eyebrow when he spotted a suspicious-looking puddle on the road. He almost laughed at the pathetic attempt of Genjutsu, but held himself. It seemed that he would have a new toy to direct his anger on. Smiling, he casually took a small tube from his pouch. It was filled with red powder. He poured half of it on the puddle and waited for any reaction patiently. The others still walked in front of him. Warf! 2 hidden shinobi shrieked. The group turned around when they heard it, and all except Kakashi looked surprised to see them. The 2 shinobi scratched their bodies hard and rolled on the ground painfully. Naruto, what did you use on them? Kakashi walked closer. Just some combination of my own made itching powder plus poison that will make their skins become more sensitive. Quite handy. Want to try it? He brought the tube in front of Kakashi's eyes. Kakashi took a glance at the screaming shinobis and then at the red powder. He was really glad that the blonde didn't use it on his traps on their meetings. Are you not afraid to touch it yourself? Do you have an antidote? Why should I? I'm immune of it. I don't make something that I couldn't handle on my own and let others use it on me. If the other people couldn't handle it, it's their own problem, not mine, but I do have an antidote. Could you use it on them? We need to interrogate them. Kakashi was careful not to touch the remaining powder in the 2 shinobi's bodies while he tied them with ropes. An evil smile plastered on Naruto's face. He took out another tube from his pouch. It was smaller, and instead of powder, there was bluish liquid inside it. Do you want this? It is the antidote for the poison I used on you. The 2 nodded furiously. But you have to tell us everything you know. Oh, and you have to choose one of you. Kakashi raised any eyebrow curiously. I only have an antidote for person, he finished with a smirk. So you should choose carefully. Your life or your comrades'? I need to remind you that if the poison stayed on your body longer, you will die, rather painfully and slowly, I might add. All of them, including his own group, especially Sakura and Tazuna, looked horrified at the revelation. Naruto only chuckled. Team 7 and Tazuna watched as boils started to sprout from the 2 who were called as demon brothers in disbelief and horror, while Naruto seemed interested at the effect of the antidote. After mentally scaring them to choose between themselves, while the actual antidote was enough for them, Naruto made them drink the antidote after saying that he was only joking, making his group members' face faulted for succeeding in lying and scaring them all. The 2 ex-Miss Shinobis were indeed not trying to scratch themselves anymore. The problem was boils started to sprout and made them feel like being burned. You lied to us. One of them accused the amused Naruto. Actually, no, I didn't. It was indeed the antidote, but I don't know that there would be these side effects, for the lack of better word. I should have thought of it. Anyway, thanks for being my guinea pig. The special itching powder and its antidote are my fairly new products, and I haven't had the time to test them yet. But thanks to you, I will have the data I need soon to improve them. Hold your hand. Oh, sorry, I forget that you were bound, the blonde Jonin mocked as he took out a syringe and jabbed it roughly, not wanting to be gentle on the prisoners, on the one who shouted before Kakashi could intercept. A painful scream rang on the air. Naruto collected the blood on a plastic tube with a pleased smile on his face. Hatake, you can send them to Konoha now. By the way, tell Ibiki I expect my payment later after all this too our missing needs. Kakashi shot a curious glance at Naruto. You know Ibiki? Of course, I need guinea pigs and Ibiki is always happy to use my products on his prisoners. He gets answer from them, and I get my payment. It is an ideal way of earning money. Genin's payment just plain sucks. Kakashi-sensei, who is this Ibiki? Sakura asked after being silent for so long. Marino Ibiki, he's the head of interrogation. An advice, stay away from him. The Jonin instructor warned. Nonsense, he's only cruel to his victims, he just likes to intimidate people and boy did he like to do that to everyone, Naruto said amusedly. And by the way he turned to Tazuna who flinched at the narrowed eyes fixed on him. Mind tell us the truth or should I use some tricks that Ibiki taught me? Yes, we'd like to hear it too, the silver-haired Jonin said firmly, ignoring the pleading look sent on his way. The bridge builder sighed. Do you know Gato? The name seems familiar, Kakashi trailed off. A criminal lord who sell drugs, monopoly markets in some place, and have a big role in the black market everywhere, Naruto answered. The other four looked at him in surprise. You know him, Naruto? Know him? No. Know of him? Yes. Unlike Haruno over there I'm not just reading ninja theory, she winced at the jab. Plus Ibiki is a good source of information. I see, Kakashi nodded. And what about him? He turned back to the sweating Tazuna. Actually I think I know. Wave is a poor archipelago country. They need to trade if they want to flourish. Gato must have seen it. He probably isolated Wave and monopolied the transportation over there, and since old man here is a bridge builder of course he wanted his head separated from his body for decor on his house. A trophy you could say. Tazuna and the other shinobis gaped openly at the smirking boy. Is he right? Yes, the Wave citizen admitted. We can only afford C-rank mission. Even our own daimyo didn't have money. Please, you have to help us or we are doomed. When the bridge is finished, Wave will be able to pay for a higher rank mission, Kakashi scratched his head. The problem isn't the money. We're only a Genin team, a new one at that. We should go back to Konoha and request a Chunin or Jounin team for this job. No way, I want to get out of Konoha longer. You guessed who shouted. And we're perfectly capable handling this mission, Sasuke added firmly, wanting a chance to try out his technique in real battle. I think we should take this mission, Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi stared in surprise at the pink-haired girl. He thought that she wanted to back away from the mission, especially after Naruto's hurtful words. It seemed that she had a backbone after all. Kakashi looked at his Genin team. The boys were glaring while the girls sent him a pleading look. With a sigh he nodded. All right, but I will request another Genin team from Konoha. He held out his hands when Sasuke opened his mouth to protest. Naruto didn't care since he only wanted to get away from Konoha. If you refuse, I won't accept this mission, he told him firmly. Sasuke scowled, but didn't say anything. Kakashi summoned his fastest messenger dog and sent it to Konoha. Let's go. Naruto smirked when he heard his fox yipped. Ever since the revelation yesterday the group was always alert, even Haruno didn't fall asleep on her shift. The red fox brushed its tail to Naruto's leg. He soon received 2 images from his 2 other foxes in the forest. One of the images was that of a big man with an equally big sword. There was a /mist hideate on his forehead. The other guy in the other hand was much smaller. He was wearing a mask with mist symbol on it. Mist Hunternin, his fox yipped and shook its small head. Ah, so the smaller guy has the scent of the bigger guy. His disguised subordinate then. Probably making sure nothing goes wrong or to spy on us. They're pretty clever. The red fox jumped to Naruto's shoulder and purred. Naruto chuckled and feed it, and the other 2 foxes via the red fox his chakra as a thanks. The fox purred in contentment, and yipped telling Naruto that its other friends appreciated the gift. Anytime, my friend. Anytime, Naruto petted the fox. I'm going to scout ahead, was what he said before he disappeared. Should we wait for him? Sakura asked. Leave him alone. He's only a nuisance, the Uchiha scoffed. Actually he is a nuisance, but Sasuke is right. Leave him, I'm sure Naruto will be able to find us. The group left Naruto. Kakashi-sensei, is Naruto's clan has the ability to speak with fox just like Inuzuka clan's ability to speak with dog? Sakura asked curiously. Sasuke turned his head to Kakashi also wanted to know his answer. As far as I know, Naruto didn't come from any clan. It's his own ability, I think. Kakashi was thinking of Kyuubi. With Naruto jumped to the branch 50 meters from the big shinobi silently. Instead of repressing his chakra, he blended it with nature's own chakra. Repressing his chakra would be enough for lesser shinobi, but the man in front of him was a battle-hardened shinobi with many experiences. An alert shinobi of this kind would immediately felt the change in chakra environment because repressing chakra meant that there was a void in the nature. And instead of hiding it would make it easier for him to pinpoint his location. Naruto took out his bingo book he got from Ibiki and searched for the man's data in case he was one of the shinobis who was written there. He smirked when he got the data. His name is Zabuza, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. He became missing nin after trying to take over mist and failed. Mizuki warranted him, dead or alive. The reward was high because he was categorized as an A-class missing nin. Naruto closed his book. He didn't search for Zabuza's subordinate's data because he was wearing a mask. If he wanted to know the smaller guy's identity, it would mean that he had to fight him. What to do? Should he finish the man and his subordinate here, or should he let them have a taste of Kakashi and his team? Well, he did want to see what Kakashi and the Uchiha are capable of. With a smirk, he left Zabuza and headed back to his group. Do you find anything? His sensei asked. None of your interest, Hatake, he replied with a smirk. Kakashi narrowed his eyes in suspicion. No, really. I insist. Whether it is of my interest or not, I will be the one to decide, the Exumbu demanded. You can insist, but that doesn't mean I will comply. The bright blue orb stared intently at Kakashi's eyes. San, and don't ever think to bring the old man into this. My deal with him stated that I will join Konoha's shinobi, but it doesn't state that I will be Konoha's lapdog, the boy sneered maliciously. I know that you know I despise Konoha with all my heart. Then you shouldn't agree with the deal Sandaime offered to you, Naruto's father's student pointed out. If it meant my whole freedom from that hellhole, I can sacrifice anything. Besides, even if the old man didn't offer it, I will get out of Konoha in time. You plan on becoming a missing nin? The Jonin asked sharply. There was an underlying threatening tone on his voice. The others only looked back and forth between them. The temperature dropped a few degrees in such short time. What? Naruto narrowed his eyes. A cruel smirk was plastered on his face. You don't think I never considered it before? Of course I have thought, and even planned of it for years. Do you think that no hunter nin will be dispatched to fetch or kill you even if you're still a genin? Oh, please, do you think they can do anything to me? I have learned to harness that power, if you catch my drift, and I am able to fight without it. He heard a gasp came out of the instructor's mouth. You know about it? What does it look like? Naruto asked back. You do know about it. Of course I am. Don't you think I'll try to find out something that made all of those pathetic people despise me just like I despise them? Actually no. And how did you know about it? I'm sure that no adult will tell you about it because of the law, and they hated you. I got the information straight from its source, of course, Naruto smirked cheekily. His team's Jonin sensei seemed at loss of anything to say as the realization of what he said dawned on his brain. Naruto had come in contact with the fox demon. Will you try to get revenge? Or are you just that power hungry that you contact this source? I don't really care about power. Konoha White Fang's son stared at him in disbelief. Naruto continued, but if power is what I need to get my freedom, then I'll do anything to grab it. As for revenge, yes, I do want to avenge my misery and unjustness done to me, although it was only a second priority after my freedom. Your father will be disappointed to see. Kakashi's eyes widened, realizing that he had just slipped out. Naruto raised an amused eyebrow, not even appeared to be a bit shocked. Oh? So you do know who I am really? Kakashi's eyes went wider if that was possible. Naruto chuckled. You think I don't know of it? I have known about my father, he spat, ever since I was still a kid. You and Konoha might think of him as a hero, but for me, he's nothing but a traitor to his own son. The other three were wondering who exactly was Naruto's father. He sacrificed me, his only son. It's for the greater good. Kakashi tried to defend his former sensei. Naruto scoffed. Greater good, you say? Right now, I'm almost reaching my patient limit. I have a real high patience, you know. After all, my whole life is kind of a test of how far I can take all of this crap. But even I don't have unlimited patience. If someone dared to cross the line, I'll make sure that when I'm done with them, my father in Dead Realm will realize that the so-called greater good isn't so great after all, and that he made a mistake sacrificing me to save those fools, he hissed. Naruto suddenly looked up and jumped from his spot when he heard the wind change. Duck! He heard Kakashi yelled as a huge sword was thrown to their direction. All three followed Kakashi's lead, while Naruto growled angrily on a tree for being interrupted. The giant sword crashed the ground behind them. Naruto's acute eyes glared at where Zabuza stood. The missing nin came out behind a tree with a chuckle. A squabble between student and teacher, I see, he said amusedly. And Hatake Kakashi, no wonder the demon brothers failed. They faced against the infamous copy nin Kakashi, whose Sharingan was said that it had copied thousands of jutsu all around the world, the former Miss Nin said, not knowing that it was Naruto who finished them odd. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard what the man called Kakashi. Impossible, he muttered in disbelief. Sakura glanced at him worriedly, wondering what made her crush lost his composure like this. Sakura, Sasuke, guard Tazuna. He snapped them out of their thoughts. The two genin scrambled on their feet and ready for an attack. I suppose this is what you said as not of my interest? The Jounin eyed Naruto above him. Indeed, Naruto growled as he eyed the missing nin with anger. He really hated it when people always messed with him. Do you know that it's rude to interrupt someone when he is talking? Oh, I'm sorry for my rudeness. I guess I have to introduce myself first, don't I? The bandaged-faced man mocked. I have known who you are. Oh? Zabuza raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised that a kid like him knew who he was. I don't know that I am that famous. Not really, I just have a complete guide of Shinobi's data, the bingo book. You're Zabuza, former Miss Shinobi who went AWOL and became A-class missing nin. You tried to overthrow your Mizuki, but failed and was on the run ever since. Have I missed anything important? The blonde vessel grinned mockingly. The former Miss Shinobi growled at being reminded of his failure. How dare you! He hissed through his teeth. Hey, you're the one who acted rude first. You shouldn't complain. At first I intend to watch you fight Hatake and that Uchiha boy, but you infuriated me. Let's play. Naruto smirked from above and vanished in an instant. The missing nin's eyes widened, before he scanned his environment for the blonde to no avail. Naruto reappeared in front of Zabuza. The missing nin's eyes widened as he held up his right arm to block a kick sent to his way. The kick wasn't connected to his face, but he still felt the impact as his body was pushed back a meter. Realizing that his younger opponent was not just ordinary shinobi, Zabuza quickly retrieved his blade. He got into a fighting stance. The blonde boy stood in relaxed stance. A smirk was plastered on his face as he made a gesture for the older shinobi to attack him. Zabuza narrowed his eyes for a moment before he dashed toward the infuriating blonde with a cry. Kakashi and the others were standing on their spot as the battle commenced. Sasuke stepped forward wanting a chance to test himself against an A-class missing nin from the mist, but his Jounin sensei held out his hand and stopping him from walking further. The dark-haired genin turned at Kakashi and gave him a death glare. Don't you want to see what Naruto capable of? The Jounin asked him. Sasuke thought of it for a moment before nodding and stepped back. The four people watched as the battle between their blonde teammate and Zabuza started. The blonde genin disappeared from his spot above. The others wildly looking around, trying to locate the boy to no avail. Naruto reappeared in front of the shocked missing nin who couldn't believe that he didn't hear the sound of his footsteps. With a reflex honed by his years of experience, Zabuza held out his arm to block the kick sent to his way. He succeeded blocking it, but he was pushed a meter from his original spot. Zabuza quickly jumped and reached for his sword. As he took it, his eyes narrowed as he watched the smirking blonde intently. His opponent held out his finger and made a gesture for the older shinobi to come and get him if he could. It seemed that the blonde genin wasn't just an ordinary shinobi. His eyes darted toward the others who kept their footings around Tazuna, protecting the bridge builder. It appeared that the copy nin had no intention to help his genin student, but the swordman of the mist knew that if the situation went bad, the Konoha Jounin would interfere. Growling softly at the disadvantage he was in, Zabuza made 10 Mizu Bunshins around him and ordered them to attack the younger shinobi. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu, he said softly. A second after he said it, the blonde made a seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto whispered softly so Zabuza didn't hear him saying it, making the same number of shadow clones to fight off the water clones made by the missing nin. Your water clones are useless. You're just wasting your chakra. Give up or face the consequences. Naruto scrunched his eyebrows. On the other hand, don't give up, because I will take pleasure torturing you, he said cheekily. Zabuza scoffed. You're 100 years too early to say that, brat. Both shinobis made a gesture, and their clones clashed. Zabuza's eyes narrowed further, as he watched each of his water bunshin was destroyed by its opponent. A dawning realization came to his mind that right now he was facing a shinobi who could use this particular kinjutsu. He had seen this jutsu performed before in the Great War, but mostly the shinobi who could use this technique were adults who had more chakra than others, seeing that this jutsu needed much chakra to maintain. His water clone only had a 10th power of its original, but Shadow Clone had the same power of the original. This kid is good. He could actually be a match against Haku, he thought. Hey brat, you're good, he complimented. The blonde only shrugged indifferently. Why did you join Konoha's shinobi rank when you're already strong and hate them? He baited the genin. Zabuza's eyes caught the copy nin stiffened at his question. Why don't you come with me? You could be great under my tutelage. Naruto laughed in amusement. Come with you? Under your tutelage? Did I hear you right, or are you just plain senile? Who do you think you are? I'm not a fool. You're weaker than me. There's nothing you can teach me, beside the old man has offered me a better deal. Your time's up. You should pay for interrupting me rudely. It's unfortunate for you, a water user shinobi, to meet me, the blonde smirked. Zabuza was seething inside. How dare this imbecile said that he was weaker. The missing nin made another batch of water clones and dispatched them to deal with the shadow clones. Even if his clones couldn't win against his shadow clones, he could use them as distraction. He dashed toward the blue-eyed genin. The missing nin stiffened and jumped backward when he felt a weapon was thrown to his direction from his left. He watched Kakashi left his spot with a kunai on his hand. I thought you didn't want to interfere with this battle, he stated. Your thought is wrong. I changed my mind, was his only explanation. Don't interfere with this fight, Hatake. Naruto snapped. You're a member of my team and I have a duty to help you, besides I'm your superior. Do you think I can't handle him on my own? The demon vessel growled dangerously. A flash of red flickered from his eyes so fast that Zabuza thought that he was imagining it. A scream of terror and 2 gasps from behind the silver-haired Jonin caught their attention. The 2 leaf shinobis watched Sasuke fight against 4 water clones, while Tazuna was knocked unconscious. Sakura, on the other hand, was being held by a water clone with a sharp kunai pressed against her throat. Sakura! Kakashi shouted. He wanted to smack himself for being so careless. Naruto only scowled. Don't you think you get the wrong target? Naruto raised an eyebrow as he glanced at the knocked-out Tazuna pointedly. Sasuke finished out the last clone with a spin kick. He growled in annoyance when he saw the trembling pink-haired Kunoichi being held as hostage. I don't think so. But he's only a client, while she's your teammate. Drop your weapons or she will die, the missing Nin warned. Naruto started to laugh, slowly at first, before it became a full-blown laughter. After a minute of non-stop laughter, and incredulous eyes sent on his way, Naruto stopped and opened his cold blue eyes. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the missing Nin seriously. Do you think I care for that useless girl? Go ahead, kill her. I won't stop you. She's a nuisance, and it will be a great relief to have that burden lift from my shoulder. That way I don't have to do it on my own. The girl shivered at such coldness displayed by her uncaring teammate. The clone that held Sakura pressed the kunai a bit, making her flinch as a drop of blood seeped out from the slice. Naruto watched it coldly, but a crazed smirk was plastered on his face. The real Zabuza stared at the boy and knew from right there that he wasn't joking. Sasuke and Kakashi tensed. Naruto! The blonde's eyes shifted to the silver-haired Jonin in annoyance. What? He snapped. Save your lecture, Hatake. I don't need it, and pay your attention to Zabuza instead of to the girl. If she still lives after this, it would be a good experience for her and motivate her to become stronger so she won't be such a burden, or better yet, to stop being a shinobi. The world doesn't have a need for useless kunoichi. If not, well, too bad for her then, she just has to hope that she die painlessly. He smirked as his eyes turned to the other genin. The advice could be applied to you too, Uchiha. There won't be anyone to save your noble arse if you screwed this, Sasuke sneered. Nor will I save your sorry ass, the dark-haired genin snapped harshly. He was ticked off by Naruto's statement. Both genins turned their attentions to the real Zabuza, leaving only Kakashi to worry about the pink-haired girl. The girl sobbed quietly when she realized that she was abandoned by her teammates, and to make it worse, one of them was her crush. The Kyuubi vessel took out 2 kunais from his pouch, twirled them for a moment before he channeled his chakra on the metals. The kunais were suddenly engulfed by red fire. The fire danced wildly before it solidified around the weapon, creating what looked like to be 2 blazing swords. Sasuke watched the event take place in front of his eyes with wide eyes. He could feel the terrible heat emanating from the weapons. He gritted his teeth in envy and jealousy, wondering how a supposed dead last like him could do a thing he couldn't do. He was the heir of Uchiha clan, a fire user clan. It should be him who controlled the fire, not this boy whose heritage wasn't known. Naruto gripped the scorching hot weapon on his palms without flinching. The metals were scorching red from absorbing and coming in contact with the hot fire around them. The blonde boy frowned. He needed to train his chakra control better. The weapons weren't supposed to look as if they would melt soon. It should look like as if nothing happened to the metals. Naruto had to hold back his blue fire from forming around the kunais, knowing that the weapons wouldn't be able to stand the heat. The weapons on his hands were barely able to handle the heat of his red fire as it was. Either he had to start improving his chakra control, or he had to find better quality kunais. A water clone near his right was slowly dissolved into air as the heat evaporated the water. So that was what you mean that a water user like me was unlucky to meet you? Zabuza stared at the weapons on his hands. Naruto smirked. It was fun to meet you, but I think I have to cut this meeting short. Let's dance. The blonde boy dashed toward the missing Nin. His water clones ran to intercept their creator's assaulter. The first clone threw shurikens to Naruto, only to have him deflect those ninja weapons by twisting his kunai sword to make a shield. Naruto sliced the clone in 2, the body part of the clone where his kunais touched evaporated. Naruto tilted his head to the left to avoid a kunai send on his way. Not enough, the boy murmured. He channeled more chakra to the kunai on his right hand and slashed it horizontally. Hot air rippled from the sword and cut through 5 clones, while the rest jumped to avoid it. Knowing they had no chance to defeat him alone, all of them jumped with kunai on their hands. Naruto grinned wickedly. He deepened his contact with the ground below. Red fire formed a circle around his feet before it started to rise to the air around him like tornado. The fire danced around his body, catching the clones in the air and evaporated them. Naruto kept the fire a half-meter around him to avoid his clothes being burnt. He himself didn't have a problem with fire, but his clothes would be burnt. And he didn't want to be naked in front of anyone else. Got more? An amused eyebrow raised towards Zabuza. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto watched from the corner of his eyes that Kakashi had saved Sakura, destroying the clone when its mind was elsewhere. He scoffed before he turned back to his opponent. It seems that you no longer have hostage, the blonde boy taunted. It doesn't matter. Kirigakure no Jutsu, a thick mist covered the area. Your attempt is futile. I am used fighting an area with no light. Do you think a mere mist can stop me? Besides, it can be dispatched easily. Though I haven't learned any wind jutsu yet, I have another method. The QB vessel grabbed his wires from the pouch on his pants, attaching them to kunais and launched them to the trees for anchor. Tying one of the wires around his blazing kunai, he launched the rest of his wires to the air, each of them connected with others, supporting the weight of the blazing kunai. Feeling that the burning kunai was high enough, he channeled his chakra through the wires. The air above around the kunai became hot. Wind started to form as the air from the area with cooler temperature rose to the sky where hot air gathered. The mist was starting to dissipate. That's just one of the simple methods to counter your Kirigakure no Jutsu. Care to try other ways? I have enough spare time. Amuse me, Naruto said cheekily, as he stopped channeling his chakra. The fire stopped dancing around the now melted kunai, revealing scorched marks on it. The blonde genin tugged the wires, the kunais working as anchors tensed as they moved to unfurl the ties. The wires stiffened as the chakra channeled through them. Team 7 watched in disbelief as the wires moved as if they had lives on their own. Even Kakashi stopped taking care of Sakura's wound. He couldn't believe that his sensei's son has reached this level. Zabuza took a step back. He could handle many kunais simultaneously, but could he handle all of those living wires that could move as if they had a mind on their own? He cursed inwardly. How could a genin boy like him have this kind of power? He should be an umbu or hunter nin, not a mere genin. And to add his problem, he hadn't defeated the copy nin yet. He needed more time to plan. Just as he thought that, the wires slithered on the air like a snake toward him, kunais still dangling on their ends, aimed pointedly toward Naruto's opponent. Fast. Zabuza braced himself. He slashed diagonally, hoping to cut the kunais from the wires. Naruto saw through this and channeled more chakra. A bluish chakra formed around the wires and shielded them from the cut. Zabuza's eyes widened as the wires met his blade head-on. The kunais on the ends tensed and started to attack. Blood sprouted from all over the missing nin's body as the kunais slashed him. Zabuza gripped his sword tighter as he gritted his teeth. He deflected 4 kunais, but 2 of the wires curled around his sword. Red fire formed on the kunai, and it channeled through the older nin's blade. Shocked at the sudden hotness, the missing nin released his grip from his sword and dropped to the floor. The wires around the blade threw the sword toward their controller. Naruto caught the missed swordsman's sword with a smirk. You want to overthrow Mizuki with this ability? No wonder you failed, Naruto chuckled. You're weak. I wonder if the rest of the 7 swordsmen of the mist are as weak as you. I heard that the mist 7 swordsmen's swords are special, each has unique power, but from what I saw, your sword is nothing special. Are you sure the sword is finished? Because it looks like ordinary sword for me. If only it has huge size to intimidate your opponent. Naruto planted the sword to the ground. You're right. This sword hasn't been finished yet. Zabuza stood up as he glared at the younger shinobi. Blood still dripped from his wounds. Really? That's interesting. Naruto's wires retreated. You must be not much of a planner that you tried to overthrow Mizuki with unfinished sword. Naruto's eyes turned to the left when he felt Zabuza's subordinate, who was being kept an eye on by his foxes, was readying himself for something. Many senbons were thrown to Zabuza's body and embedded themselves on his vital points. The missing nin's eyes widened as he plummeted to the ground. Naruto raised his eyebrow. A soft yip from the forest told him that the missing nin hasn't died yet. Naruto grinned at the subordinate's devious plan to trick him and the rest of Team 7. A shinobi with Hunter Nin mask jumped to the ground where Zabuza was located. He took the missing nin's body and was ready to jump when Naruto's wires coiled around him like a snake. The Hunter Nin tensed as he turned around to face the blonde. Where will you go with my praise body? He asked cheerfully. Naruto, stop it! He's a mist Hunter Nin. It was his duty to kill his village's rogue ninja, Kakashi told him. You might be right, Hatake, but Zabuza is my prey and I won't let him go easily. I was ready to finish him when this man interfered with my fight. If he wanted easy prey, he shouldn't take it from me. It would be a bad idea. Inwardly Naruto chuckled at his acting. If he wanted to play his part as a scavenger, then he should wait until I finish with Zabuza. I won't let him go away with my prize. If you want to get the money reward, you could ask the Mist Administrative in Water Country, the masked nin said. I will tell them that Zabuza was killed by you. Empty words. How do I know that you will do it? No, I think I'll stick on my first plan. I'll use this dear product of mine to decompose his body and behead his head as a proof. A transparent glass tube with black liquid was in Naruto's finger. The Hunter Nin stiffened, making Naruto chuckle harder inwardly. Red slitted eyes opened inside Naruto's mind. The demon blinked before sighing in exasperation. Sometimes it wondered who was saner between it and its vessel. You can't do that. Mist still needs information from his body. I don't give a damn. There's nothing written in the bingo book that said that Zabuza's body must be intact. The Hunter Nin was silent for a moment before he removed a brown leather pouch from his clothes. There's half of the money reward amount here. You can get the rest in Mist Administrative Office. I will give you this if you let me go with his body. And what if I think to kill you, get your money, and get the reward full amount from Mist Village? You won't, or you'll risk a war between Mist and Leaf, he said convincingly. Naruto grinned. Clever, the masked Nin through the pouch only to be intercepted by one of the wires. After making sure that the pouch indeed contained money instead of trap, Naruto released the wires around the older Nin's body. The black-haired shinobi nodded before he vanished with Zabuza's body, leaving the tall man's sword beside Naruto. Naruto chuckled. I look forward for our next meeting, Hunter-san, he muttered softly. The genin turned to face Team 7. Let's go, our job is finished here. He left the sword alone, knowing that Zabuza's subordinate would take the sword and hopefully got someone to finish the sword. He was so looking forward to fight against stronger Zabuza with a completed sword and his subordinate. And when the time came, he wouldn't give them any mercy. Naruto was 7 years old at the time when he met Guy. The Jonin with bowl haircut slapped his back numerous times when he was building Sand Palace. At that time Naruto was hoping to find solace, when the Jonin suddenly emerged out of the blue one day and started with his youth ranting. This was the 3rd day in row he appeared in the park. Needless to say, Naruto was quite annoyed. Experimenting for a week for a new potion he could use to extract his revenge, Naruto succeeded in concocting the potion. It was transparent liquid, with no smell, just like normal water, but it had secret function that only Naruto and later other people including Guy knew. He was ready with his makeshift bow and arrow, made from the sturdy and yet whippy branch he found on the woods. When he walked to the park, the Jonin was there, scaring other children, though obviously he didn't realize that. Naruto jumped toward a tree in the north side of the park, quite far from where the future instructor of Lee was standing. A thin rubber ball he bought on a stand whose owner didn't know about Kyubi was on his palm. Only instead of air or water, it was filled with his special liquid. A liquid that he intended to splash Guy no matter what happened. Naruto tied the rubber ball to his arrow and put it on the bow. He carefully pulled the bowstring, one eye closed as he targeted Guy, and his tongue licked the corner of his lips. He let loose the arrow, and just like he thought, the man slashed the arrow and the rubber ball with what the Jonin thought as a hero pose. The liquid splashed on Guy. The Jonin with green spandex swept the water from his face and rubbed it to his spandex with a grin. What a good plan you've done! I am Edo Guy, Konoha's taijutsu specialist, compliment you, whoever you are. Naruto moved from his spot and walked to a deserted alley where he still could see the park clearly. A camera was on his hand. A minute later a simultaneous "you" and catcalls were heard from the children's lips. Naruto flashed his camera, as the device took photos of his newest victim. The next day, Marino Ibiki handed over some money from his wallet to Naruto for the photos, with a wide, satisfied grin. He spread the photos to his other ninjas, who quickly laughed at Guy's misfortune for being picked as the new victim of the infamous prankster. In the photos, Guy's infamous green spandex was deteriorating, leaving him covering his goods in embarrassment as he dashed to his house in what the shinobis later would call a record-breaking speed. Parents demanded Guy to be turned over to them for what they call corrupting their children to the amused Sandame, who obviously didn't give Guy to the furious parents, knowing exactly what pain they would inflict to the poor if only a bit passionate Jonin. Guy's face wasn't seen until 2 weeks after he succeeded rebuilding his self-confidence to walk in public. And even after that he had to be careful to avoid furious parents for another week. The end. Part 12. Pitiful, Naruto said bluntly as Team 7 and Tazuna swept through the town. Broken homes littered around the way. People walked around with dead eyes, dirty clothes, and children begged for food to quench their hunger. The people here looked as if they had no future and merely waited for their time to die. He snorted before turning his attention back to the road. A man bumped him and muttered apology. But before he could go, Naruto caught his wrist and twisted painfully. Naruto took his fox wallet, and hell yeah, no more Gamachan, casually as the man wailed. If you want to steal, do it to someone else, was what he said before he left the man writhing on the ground, cradling his wrist. Team 7 and Tazuna wisely kept their mouths shut at the blatant display of violence and cruelness. When they arrived at their destination, which was Tazuna's house, a kind-looking black-haired woman opened the door. Her face brightened when she saw the bridge builder's face and ushered her father and the 4 guests inside. The woman called for her son loudly. A scowling boy entered the room. His frown changed into a happy smile when he saw his grandfather and dashed toward him. Tazuna petted his head for a moment before he introduced his companions. The scowl was planted once again to the boy's face. Why don't you understand that no one will be able to beat Gato? They would die for sure. They're useless. A vein throbbed on Naruto's forehead as he stared at the yelling boy in annoyance. Inari, his mother admonished. The child's glare turned toward his mother before he turned around and ran to his room. I'm sorry for my son's rudeness. My name is Tsunami, and I'm Tazuna's daughter. That boy you just saw is my son, Inari, she introduced herself, before taking them to eat. Her son refused to come out from his room, obviously brooding. The food on the table was meager, but for Wave Citizen it could be considered lavish dinner. It was consisted of 3 medium fishes, rice, and a pan of soup. None of Team 7 complained as they ate quietly, knowing the state of this country, and saw it firsthand. Starting tomorrow, I will train all of you hard, Kakashi said after they finished eating. Don't you think it's a bit late for that? Naruto said cheekily. The Jounin glared, but the younger nin seemed to ignore it completely. What training you're talking about? It's tree walking. But sensei, we already know how to climb tree, Sakura told him. Her voice was a bit hoarse because of the wound on her neck. Pa, I've already known to do this simple chakra control training. With that, Naruto left the dinner room. Chakra control training? Sasuke asked at last. Kakashi nodded. When I said tree walking, I wasn't joking. This is a training to use your chakra to stick your legs on tree and walk on it. You'll see how tomorrow, he said, knowing both genins want to know more. Both genins nodded reluctantly. Sasuke entered the room he was supposed to stay in. There was already the blonde boy there, lying on the futon with both eyes closed. The dark-haired genin stared at him for a moment, questions running through his head. If you want to ask me something, Uchiha, then ask? Your staring annoyed me. The Uchiha air stiffened, knowing that he was caught. How did you become so strong? He blurted out. Naruto snorted. Training, of course, what else? I don't believe it. There must be someone who taught you. And what was that with the fire? What's with you today? So many questions, he teased. Answer me. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Don't think you can demand anything from me, Uchiha. You might be Konoha's favorite, but for me you're nothing. If you want to act as a spoiled brat, do it somewhere else. Sasuke gritted his teeth. You're just a dead last. Naruto laughed loudly when he said it. Dead last? It was this dead last who caught you on so many traps. It was this dead last whose clothes was clean when the missions handed to you's over. And it was this dead last who defeated the A-class missing nin, Zabuza, single-handedly. Tell me, Uchiha, if I'm a dead last, then what are you? Sasuke didn't answer. Precisely. For your information, the fire is my ability. There is no clan with that bloodline. Now there is, isn't it? And for my trainer, yes, I do have a trainer. Who is he? If you want him to train you, it's useless. He won't do it. Why? He demanded. Naruto sighed. Once a spoiled brat, always a spoiled brat. He doesn't like Konoha, and you're Konoha's favorite. He doesn't like spoiled brat, and you're a spoiled brat. Naruto smiled as Sasuke glared. Besides, you can't meet him, because he's inside my mind. Naruto tapped his forehead with a smirk. What do you mean with that? Exactly like what I said. He's inside my mind. Don't make fun with me, he shouted. A second later, Sasuke found himself pinioned on the wall by Naruto. His black eyes widened because he didn't see him move at all. What have I told you about being rude to me? The freezing blue eyes pierced into his onyx eyes. Sasuke swallowed. You don't. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You only said not to demand anything from you, he pointed out. Inside his mind, Sasuke was wondering if he was sane, playing game with this dangerous genin. To his surprise, instead of being angry, the blonde boy chuckled. You do have a guts, Uchiha. I compliment you for that. The hand on his neck tightened and Sasuke had to gasp. But next time you do it again, there won't be anyone stopping me from killing you. Consider yourself warned. He released his hold on his teammate and put him down to the floor. Sasuke gasped deeply to breathe. His hand caressed his throat. An advice for you, Uchiha. If you want to become stronger, forget your revenge until you have become stronger. Your drive for revenge only makes you weaker. It distracted you from thinking clearly when you're supposed to be training. What do you know? You don't know anything. He muttered softly, voice still hoarse after being held on his throat. Oh, I do know about it. I forget my revenge to Konoha. I still hate them if you want to know, but freedom is my first priority. Of course, if anyone from Konoha tried to attack me, I won't stay idle either, he smirked at the thought. You said that you want to revive your clan, didn't you? Sasuke stared at him for a moment before nodding. Even if you succeed in killing your brother, how did you know it was my brother? He interrupted. From your data, of course, what else? Oh, if you're thinking about finding my data, forget it. My data is completely classified. Back to my advice, even if you succeed in killing your brother, what if he kills you at the same time? That will mean, bye-bye reviving your clan. Well, this is only an advice, whether you follow it or not is up to you. With that, Naruto went back to sleep. Sasuke sat on his futon. More questions running through his mind. He glanced at his teammate, wondering why his data was classified and what he meant by his trainer was inside his mind. He was also wondering if his thirst for revenge was making him weaker. It certainly drove him to become stronger, but at the same time, just like Naruto said, it made him think not clearly. Was he supposed to forget his revenge at least until he became stronger just like Naruto suggested? But it wasn't as easy as saying it. He had become completely immersed on his revenge ever since Itachi slaughtered his clan, that he couldn't think of anything else to do. Sasuke brought his hand to his throat. There was red mark on it, courtesy of Naruto. The blonde was strong, he admitted. He wasn't dead last like he first thought. Even if he was a bit insane, he knew what he had to do with his life. Sasuke sighed. Perhaps he would consider his advice. It wasn't like he would lose something if he did it. With that in mind, the survivor of the Uchiha clan's slaughtering drifted into dreamless sleep. The next morning when Sasuke woke up, there was no trace of Naruto. Kakashi walked with Sasuke and Sakura toward the woods where their training would start. The copy nin started to teach them the meaning of tree walking and how to do it. As expected, Sakura learned it quickly because of her small chakra reserve. With his mind clearer and no thought of his revenge, Sasuke improved quickly. He had to admit that he would probably have to learn it longer if Naruto didn't tell his advice, though he would rather die before he admitted it to his teammate. Since Sakura had a good grasp on tree walking already, Kakashi added her training with taijutsu lesson to improve her reflex and strength. The girl for once didn't complain at all, knowing that she needed to be better or she would be a nuisance only. No longer did she want to rely on her teammates. They didn't care about her safety, so if she wanted to live, she had to it on her own. Her crush to her black-haired teammate has diminished bit by bit gradually after knowing that it was just a fantasy. Sasuke didn't like her and wouldn't care if she lived or not. She became more withdrawn and silent but more determined to become stronger. Her inner self cheered her up, telling her that she didn't need any man. The Jonin instructor sighed at the now non-existent teamwork, if there was teamwork at all in the first place. They certainly became stronger, but Team 7 drifted apart. Each one strived to be stronger on their own, not carrying the others. Kakashi instructed the pink-haired girl to do tree walking and throwing kunais or shurikens at the same time for hours every day. That way her chakra reserve would expand and her accuracy would improve. The Jounin also taught what he knew about Sharingan to Sasuke in case he awoke in his bloodline while the boy was doing tree walking. The rest of Team 7 was wondering what Naruto was doing on his own. In these 3 days, they only met him when dinner started. The boy's body was full of bruises and his clothes was dirty, and he always brought fishes with him. But the morning later his bruises would be gone, and he used different clothes that he must have bought from local shop, before he went on his way. Today, it was Sakura's turn to guard the bridge builder. They went shopping for their dinner. The old man brought her to a food store. Sakura noted that even in the grocery, food was scarce. There were only some variations and even then the number was limited. She was startled when she turned around to watch the road only to find Naruto was walking casually. Some kids were following him, but he ignored them. Naruto-Nai-sama, will you do it again? A young girl exclaimed as she tugged his clothes. Sakura's heart went overdrive, thinking about what Naruto would do to the girl for that. Wait a second, did she said Naruto-Nai-sama? Her wide green eyes were trained on Naruto. Her heart skipped when the boy turned toward the children who followed him. Oh my gosh, don't tell me, he's gonna kill them, she screamed inwardly. The next scene made her jaw drop to the floor. Naruto, the cruel monster, was smiling. Smiling. Not smirking. And to make the scene more unbelievable, it was a true smile, not an evil smile he reserved for people he was annoyed at. Sakura was wondering if someone put her on genjutsu. Kai. Nope, Naruto was still smiling as he patted the girl's head. Holy shit. I can't believe it. Is this the same Naruto who is insane? Either she was hallucinating, or this was real. Real? Yeah, right. As if in trance she stepped forward to see Naruto, and the children walked away. She was determined to follow them, completely forgetting about Tazuna, when someone tugged her skirt. She whipped her head and found another girl, even much younger than the one who followed Naruto, tugging her clothes. She didn't say anything as she put her palms out, asking for money. Sakura turned her head toward Naruto's direction, only to find him missing. Sighing, she sat on her knees and took out some candies from her bag and handed them out to the awaiting palms. The girl smiled happily before she thanked her and ran. Sakura-san? Tazuna asked, concerned with the young genin. Is everything okay, HM? What? Oh, it's nothing really. Are you finished? The bridge builder showed her his grocery and nodded. They walked back toward his house. Sakura turned her head to the spot where she last saw Naruto before she followed her client. Tazuna-san, a fisherman called him out. Oh, Genji, what's up? Tazuna greeted his fellow wave citizen, but frowned when he saw the worried look plastered on his face. Is there something wrong with the bridge? Is it Gato? He asked worriedly. It's not that, the man scratched his head. There are 4 people asking for your house address. 3 of them were in the same age like young lady over there, he pointed at Sakura. They looked like ninjas, so I thought you should need to know. Ano, were they wearing this? The punk-haired genin showed him her height. HM? The man tapped his chin. Ah yes, they did have those, Sakura smiled. It's alright, they're our aid that we requested from our village back home. Thank you for the information, she bowed. Tazuna and the only female in Team 7 returned to his house. Sakura opened the door and went to the kitchen where she heard people were talking. She found the team sent by Konoha was being served lunch by Tsunami. Her eyes were quickly drawn to 2 of the team, the adult and one of the teenagers. No, it wasn't because they were handsome, because the other male member was definitely more handsome than them and might be on par with Sasuke. The thing that drawn her to the other 2 was their caterpillar eyebrows. She took a step back in surprise. The heck? My, what a lovely day for youth today. The green beast from Konoha has arrived together with my youthful students, the adult exclaimed in lame pose when he noticed her enter. Guy-sensei. The younger nin with the same lame haircut and spandex hugged his sensei. Lee. The others were sweat dropping. The brown kunoichi was sighing, suggesting to Sakura that it was common occurrence. Can't Konoha send me a not-so-strange team? Tazuna mumbled dejectedly. It was as if it wasn't enough to give him a team with an insane and murderous genin as a member, and now they gave him a team with 2 gays? Heaven, help him! Ano, who are you? Of course, my lady. How rude of us to introduce ourselves first. Guy's teeth was sparkling. Lee reappeared in front of Sakura, kneeling with hearts on his eyes as he clasped her hands. You are? Sakura wondered what she should do. My beautiful goddess, I'm Rock Lee, sent here to save you. You are K. Lee's face was slammed to the ground, hands still clasping Sakura's by Guy. Sakura's sweat dropped. Lee, don't be so rude. Your introduction is wrong. You lack the passion needed. This is how you should do it. The man kneeled like a prince in the fairy tale. My princess, Mato Guy, has come to your rescue. Your youthful beauty. An imaginary cold storm blew Sakura's hair as she stared at the two like they were insane. I think I prefer a murderous Naruto than these two. She glanced at the other two and found them trying to hide their embarrassment at their teammates and Jonin's behavior. The other female dragged Sakura away from the two and let her sat down. Sorry for them. Their minds aren't exactly working right, she apologized. Yes, I can see that, she said dryly as she stared at the two crying shinobis. Right. My name is Tenten, she offered her hand. Haruno Sakura, nice to meet you, she shook her hand. My other teammate is Hyuga Niji. Niji turned his head, scoffing. Don't worry about him. He's just in his usual brooding mood. Her black-haired teammate glared, but she ignored it. So, where are your teammates and Jounin instructor? Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei are training in the woods, while I don't know where Uzumaki is, she told her. Huh? You don't know where your teammate is? She asked confusedly. You are, we're not exactly close. Behind her Tazuna snorted. Close? He told her that he would kill her. Niji's attention was caught. Kill her? That's just a joke, right? Niji also did it when we first met. Sakura bit her lips. Tazuna shook his head. No, it isn't. The boy won't hesitate to kill her, I tell you. He's practically a killer machine. You'll understand when you see him tonight. Ha, Tenten nodded dumbly. Meanwhile in Gato's headquarters, Gato smashed his glass angrily, wine dripping from the glass onto his expensive carpet, but he took no notice. Guards! He shouted. 2 guards came over. Hire other ninjas. That fool Zabuza is useless. The guards nodded and exited the dinner room hastily. Back to Tazuna's house. And they sent you for our aid? Kakashi's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. My eternal rival Kaka. Yeah, whatever. He waved him off completely. He switched his eyes to Guy's younger twin incredulously. He had succeeded in corrupting this kid? Same haircut, same green spandex, same attitude. Guy, you're so foolish. Kakashi wanted to scream. Behind him Sasuke scowled. Tenten tapped Sakura. Her brown eyes were focused intently on Sasuke. Hey, is he Uzumaki? She asked, thinking that he must be Naruto since he brewed as much if not worse than Niji. He's cute, she squealed inside her mind. If Sasuke knew what she was thinking about, he would absolutely kill her for thinking that he, the heir of Uchiha clan, was cute. Sakura laughed out loud. No, he isn't. He's my other teammate, Uchiha Sasuke. You might think that with his angst that he must be Uzumaki, but I'll tell you, you got the wrong guy. Uzumaki's hair is blonde and his eyes are blue. His appearance is completely different than Sasuke. The first time you look at Uzumaki, you won't think him dangerous but only as an annoying person, but he's more dangerous than Sasuke. You better be careful around him. He has worse mood swing than even a pregnant woman. One time, he could be playful, the next you could be dead, she warned. Surely, that isn't true, Sakura shook her head amusedly. Tell you what, just see him for yourself. But don't cry after he's finished with you. A flash of the afternoon event filled her mind. Naruto was smiling at the children. She shook her head. Anyway, he would be back soon. He's usually here when the dinner starts. Tenten and Sakura's sweat dropped when they saw the 2 moody teenagers stared at each other's eyes. Kakashi was completely ignoring Guy as he read the new volume of Aika Aika Paradise, and Lee was trying to get his sensei's attention. Niji, you better stop staring at him or people will think about you in the wrong way, Niji's brown-haired teammate advised as she could see the sparks flown from their eyes. The Hyuga branch member scowled as his gaze turned to his friend. And what do you mean by that? She's saying that people will think you're gay, Sakura piped in bluntly. Tenten nodded in agreement. Yes, that's what I meant, the death glares sent to her by both genins. Because if she implied that Niji was gay, that meant she also implied that Sasuke was too, were ignored completely by the humming girl as she tried to see anything but their eyes. Niji's eyes turned toward the front door. The door was opened, revealing Naruto with his torn clothes. Naruto blinked when he saw a tear-soaked Guy embracing the next green beast of Konoha. Ah, that inappropriate Jounin! He exclaimed. Eyebrows were raised. What did you call Guy-sensei? Guy's twin shouted angrily as he dashed toward the blonde. Fist clenching, he threw a punch, only to have Naruto caught his fist casually using his free hand, since his right hand was holding 4 fishes. Tenten, Niji, and Guy eyed Naruto carefully. Even if Lee couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu at all, His taijutsu, although far from perfect, was better than many shinobis. Catch! He threw the fishes to the frantic Sakura, who hoped to catch the fishes. Naruto's blue eyes stared at Lee's black eyes. I said, inappropriate Jonin. Get a problem with that? He mocked. If you don't believe me, Naruto took a small scroll from his pouch using his free hand. He unrolled the scroll and bit his thumb, before smearing his blood on the scroll, all the while still holding Lee's punch. A poof later, an album was revealed. The blonde opened the pages and found what he was looking for. He thrust the book close to Lee's wide eyes. Lee's jaw dropped. He stared at the album open-mouthed. He was silent for once. Lee withdrew his fist and stared at his Jonin sensei with tears brimming on his eyes. Betrayal was portrayed behind his eyes. Guy sensei, how could you do it? Huh? A confused Guy frowned. The others were wondering just what it was that made Lee, who idolized Guy to the point of obsession, look so betrayed like that. They turned toward the smirking Naruto. Sakura stared at Naruto's smirk. That was it. She decided that she was imagining things. There was no way Uzumaki Naruto, the boy wonder who could kill you in seconds without remorse, was smiling. Naruto, may I see it? Kakashi couldn't help but asking him politely, knowing wrong's sentence could very well end his life. Besides, he was curious, and it was better to be on his good side. Naruto shrugged amusedly, as he took out something from the album and threw it to his father's pupil, who deftly caught it. It was a photo. The next second, Kakashi's eyes, though his Sharingan was covered by his hideate, were so wide that they were in danger of popping out of their sockets. His jaw would have dropped if not because of his mask still attached on his face. The next second, Kakashi was chuckling and then laughing. What is it? Tenten asked curiously. Still chuckling, the silver-haired Jounin handed the photo to Guy's female pupil. Wordlessly, Niji, Sakura, and even Sasuke couldn't keep their curiosity and stared at the photo from behind her shoulder. Simultaneous snickers were directed to the still confused Guy, holding his crying student, who was pounding his chest. The Genins laughed out loud, though Niji tried to shut his mouth from laughing since he was the ever-noble Hyuga member, so he settled on amused smirk, while Sasuke, whose ego was still as big as his head, wouldn't want to be caught laughing out loud and settled on odd chuckle. Tenten gave the photo to the curious Tsunami. A second later, she exploded. Guy-san, if you dare to do that in front of my son, I'll kick you so hard that your grandchildren will feel it, although I felt sorry for Lee-san to have a father like you. She screamed angrily, stomping her feet on the floor, not knowing that Lee was simply Guy's pupil and not his son like she thought, even if his face and almost everything else about him resembled Guy. Huh! Guy was still confused. Tazuna took the photo from his berserk daughter's hand. Oh. Tazuna grinned suggestively to the green spandex Jounin. I don't know that you work part-timer as strip dancer, Guy-san. What? Kakashi's self-exclaimed rival shouted incredulously. The others except the furious Tsunami laughed harder. Inari peeked curiously from the door. Inari, get back to your room! The boy's mother shouted. Looking at his furious mother, Inari decided that a retreat was good. Guy snatched the photo from Tazuna's hand. What the hell? How did you get this photo? I thought I have burned all of them. Ibiki still has a collection of those, Naruto said, not saying that he actually didn't get it from Ibiki, because it was him who gave the photos to Ibiki, who paid generously for it. Then again, it was a truth, even if it wasn't a complete truth. How Guy implied it wasn't his problem. But the green beast of Konoha stuttered. How come I don't know any of it? Kakashi wondered, feeling a little sad and disappointed that he didn't know about it before this. If I'm not wrong, you were still in Umbu at the time, so it was no wonder if you arrived to Konoha after the news died out, Naruto told him, remembering about Kakashi's data. Damn. And no one tell me about it. The Jounin cursed as he eyed Guy trying to soothe Tsunami to no avail. Naruto almost reached the front door when he felt a presence behind him. He turned around to meet Kakashi's eyes. What? There will be dual training after breakfast, and I expect you to join, the older ninja told him. Naruto only shrugged and exited the house. Kakashi sighed, thinking about his difficult student and how to handle him. Naruto stepped on the river, without his shirt or jacket. He slowly walked to the center where he closed his eyes and relaxed his stance. He concentrated on the nature around him, as the wind caressed his face. There were children in the riverbank, open-mouthed, wondering what he would show them today. Slowly but surely the water around him rose and made a water shield that surrounded him. He did it for 5 minutes before he opened his eyes. The water shield dispersed, but it didn't drop back to the river. Instead it coiled around his body like a snake. The water danced around him for a moment before it was separated into many parts. This time, instead of a big water snake, there were water threads around him. Naruto touched one of the threads. The water stiffened and the end formed something like a needle. The change followed by the other threads. Naruto moved. His kata was graceful. He moved like a fluid, just like the fox inside him instructed for years. The water around him followed his movements. It danced around his body, facing invisible targets. He hasn't perfected this move that he started to learn 3 years ago yet, but he planned to. Naruto jumped high to the sky. The water strings around him followed, separating themselves from the river. To the children below, he seemed to hover in the air for a moment before the water around him exploded into many smaller parts and hardened and showered the river with thousands of water spikes. The river splashed as it was assaulted. The children laughed when the rippling water splashed them. Naruto landed on the river's surface with eyes closed. When he opened his eyes, he could see red liquid colored the river. 20 dead fishes floated to the surface. The children cheered loudly. Naruto grinned as he took the fishes and threw them to the children. Thanks, Naruto-Nizen, the blonde nodded. He walked to the bank and took his dry shirt and jacket. Eh? You are finished? One of them asked, looking disappointed. Yes. I have to meet with others in the woods. Perhaps later, kids? See you. He dashed. Wow, he's so cool. Yeah, and he's only some years older than us. I wish I am as strong as he, a 7-year-old boy said wistfully. His friends laughed. Impossible. We don't have talents like he does, his older sister by 1 year told him. Who cares about that? For now, party time. He showed them one of the fishes. The others agreed with him. In the woods, Kakashi-sensei, Uzumaki isn't here yet, Sakura told him. The Jonin scratched his head. Huh? What do you mean he isn't here? He's there, Tenten pointed to the blonde boy in the tree confusedly. Were they blind or something? That's only a clone, the silver-haired Jonin informed her. The real Naruto won't just stay silent, observing us. Kakashi thought of how Naruto used to make traps around them, or insulted the team members. Neji activated his Byakugan and frowned. Impossible. He has chakra pads on his body. There is no way a clone can have that, he argued. That's because it's not a normal clone. It's Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. Unlike normal Bunshin, it isn't an illusion but corporeal. It has the same power like the real caster and has chakra pathways, Sakura said. And it needs much chakra to maintain, she muttered under her breath. Wow, Naruto-san is so great. Lee shouted in awe to his teacher. Beside him, Guy nodded in agreement. It seemed that those two have reconciled, or perhaps Lee was just trying to forget Guy's indecent incident. There was also a possibility that he buried his memory about what Naruto said yesterday. All in all, Naruto didn't care about their weird relationship. Neji looked at one direction. What is it, Neji? His brown-haired teammate asked. There is another Naruto running toward us, fast, he said without turning around. No more than 5 seconds later, Naruto jumped to the ground 2 meters in front of Neji. Well, since our last member has arrived, let's start. Sakura, you fight Tenten. Sasuke, you with Neji? And Naruto with Lee. Lee jumped and shouted in joy. Naruto-kun, let's do our best. He gave him a thumbs up. Naruto only raised his eyebrow. Alright, anything goes. If your opponent gets knocked out, surrender, then you win. No killing. At this the former ANBU eyed Naruto, who gave him an amused smirk. Guy, he nodded to Guy. Guy stepped forward. The arena is surrounded by trees with red papers. No running outside the arena is allowed. We will observe your fight from afar. First fight will be the girls. Good luck, he flashed them his white teeth. Sakura entered the arena nervously. She darted a look toward the calm Tenten. The girls stood across each other, waiting for the signal. Begin! Both girls took their weapons from the pouch. Sakura charged with her kunai, while Tenten stayed on her spot. It was very easy that the match was a slaughter. Sakura didn't have many techniques except for simple bunshin, great chakra control, or throwing kunai. The problem was Tenten was more experienced, and she was a weapon master, plus Sakura's chakra control wasn't exactly what you could say big. The pink-haired girl looked crestfallen and nearly in tears as she tended her wounds. Obviously she was very disappointed to be defeated so easily by another kunoichi. She knew that she wouldn't be able to defeat Tenten without luck on her part, but she didn't know that her ninja techniques were this bad. Tenten sighed at the appearance of the girl who was on the verge of crying. She knew what she was thinking about. After all, being a teammate of Neji the gloomy Hyuga was tough. She has never beaten him and felt useless the first time around, especially with his sharp and loose tongue. Her confidence was being assaulted. She walked and sat beside her. She started to talk. Neji and Sasuke stepped forward. Either boy paid attention to their female teammate. Kakashi and Guy were wondering how the battle between two prominent clans, one of the clans, the Uchiha, was a bit indisposed, but oh well, would end. They knew that under normal circumstance it would be Neji who would win the match. But you couldn't say that because Ninja with a trick on his sleeve could turn up the odds. Naruto yawned, not really interested with what was going on. Nearby, Lee was cheering for both of them. The two combatants appraised each other carefully. Begin! Sasuke threw kunais toward Neji, who still stood on his spot. The Hyuga activated his Byakugan and performed Kaiten to deflect them. Sasuke's eyes narrowed seeing Neji's kind of defense. The whirlwind dissipated, revealing Neji. He's depending too much on his bloodline, and don't he feel dizzy after he rotated too much like that? Naruto watched the fight from the corner of his eyes, as he leaned on a tree. Katon, Kakakyu no Jutsu. Sasuke breathed thousands of flame balls and directed them toward Neji, who jumped around to dodge them. Sasuke dashed behind Neji and threw his shurikens. Neji turned his body to see the upcoming weapons. He deflected most of them, but 2 shurikens managed to cut his sleeve and pierced his arm. Sasuke smirked, knowing that he was the first to draw blood from his opponent. Niji narrowed his eyes. He took the Jukin stance. You're within the range of my divination. Prepare yourselves. Niji appeared before Sasuke's widened eyes. He had closed 32 tenketsus when Sasuke opened his eyes to reveal Sharingan. The Hyuga branch member flipped backward in shock. Sasuke coughed blood. Some parts of his body where Niji struck felt burning. He was lucky that Niji was shocked to see his Sharingan, and retreated before he closed all of his tenketsus. So you can activate your Sharingan, Niji stated to the now shocked Uchiha. He had activated his bloodline limit? Sasuke's right hand touched his eyes and put it down again. If he had Sharingan with him, he could turn up the odds even with his body wounded, and his ability to use chakra was severely limited. He had known that some of his body parts were now completely devoid of chakra. The chakra control training Kakashi had given his team made him sure to know that fact. To activate his bloodline in this duel match, this match wasn't a waste. Sakura almost jumped to cheer her former crush when she saw the red eyes, when she remembered that she had given up on him. Now it was kind of reflex to do that. Lee cheered on both genins, but they didn't seem to hear it. Kakashi and Guy watched the match in interest, especially Kakashi, who promised himself to teach his student how to use those Sharingan eyes of his. Naruto himself took out a small notebook in which he wrote his assessment of the battle before him. He focused his observation on the Hyuga Taijutsu style and the Byakugan, knowing that he could solely study Sharingan in other times since Sasuke was on his team. Sasuke took out wires from his pouch, ignoring his aching body. He knew he couldn't use the wires to Naruto's level, in which the wires looked like they had their own will, but his own technique was still dangerous to his opponent. Naruto tapped his cheek with his pen before he wrote on the notebook on his hand. Niji used his eyes to see the almost invincible strings. The Uchiha knew what he did using the strings, that much he admitted, but being a teammate of a weapons specialist gave him experience on how to beat this technique. Reinforcing his hand with chakra, Niji cut the strings that were intended to bind his body. Give it up. You won't win. It's your fate to lose from me and my destiny to win this match. The Hyuga boy said this in his usual emotionless tone. Hyuga Niji is a stingy asshole who believed too much on fate. He probably had a bad experience to be another kind of cranky brooding guy. The other kind is Sasuke, the brooding gloomy avenger. Then again, who cares? Certainly not me. Note to self, usually this kind of guy is easily riled if you push the right button. Try to find it. And give him a prank or two to make him loosen up his lame fate speaking. It is as lame as his fuzzy eyebrowed teammates, and his Jonin instructor's youth speaking. Naruto finished his writing and then glanced at Sasuke, who seemed ready to throttle the Hyuga with his bare hands. He flipped his notebook to the alphabet U and searched for Sasuke's name. Uchiha Sasuke is a competitive bastard and don't like to be defeated. Wonder what he really thinks of me since he had fallen to my traps numerous times. Note to self, with his bloodline activated, try to find a way to make his eyes completely unable to copy my jutsus. There is no way I'll let him copy them. If he wanted to learn it, he had to do it the hard way. Which is by begging and pleading, and of course a debt that I can use for anything. Not that I'll teach him. Beside, his ego was probably bigger than his brain, if he had any in the first place, that he won't dare to ask me, much less beg me from. Naruto cackled insanely. Behind him Sakura was crept out by his evil laugh. She waved her hand frantically to erase Naruto's angelic smiling image. Bad thought. That was right. She was hallucinating. Beside her, Tenten's sweat dropped at her unexplainable act against invisible bugs. The older girl wondered why all of the cute guys she found were insensitive jerk, Niji, brooding avenger, Sasuke, quiet bugs lover, Shino, Tenten shivered at the bug's image, or insane, Naruto. Then again, you couldn't call Lee and her sensei as cute guys, but they still were insane and mentally unbalanced. The second match was ended quickly with Sasuke being knocked out by Niji, but only after Sasuke sent him an unexpected helluva of punch to his ribcage. The Hyuga boy put a hand on his ribcage as he walked to a tree. That suicide move, because Sasuke chose not to avoid one of Niji's strikes in order to give him a blow, was unexpected. Sasuke knew that his chance to win was slim to none, thought that he had to give the annoying bastard in front of him at least a punch that he wouldn't forget for long, to give him a message that he too wasn't omnipotent, especially not because he thought that some lady fate favored him. He hoped that at least he could make the match a draw. He didn't get his wish though, since Niji was still conscious although was winded by his accurate blow. As he blacked out, Sasuke cursed himself for not going after his balls instead of his ribcage. That way, if he succeeded landing a blow there, hopefully he would deter him from his irritating fate speaking. Because that meant that it was Niji's fate too to receive a blow to his manhood pride and perhaps lost his ability to reproduce. Wouldn't it be nice to rid the world from more future Hyuga brats? Kakashi removed Sasuke from the arena. He dumped him under a tree. Guy was doing a victory dance, shouting at Kakashi about the burning passion his team's members had to beat the silver-haired Jonin students. Naruto, Lee, you two are next. Naruto tilted his head as he watched Lee made a joyous dance before the match. Let's make it quick. I have something else better to do. he said arrogantly. Yash, Naruto-san, let's do our best. Whatever, the blonde sneered. Nearby Kakashi's sweat dropped thinking about how much Naruto and Lee resembled him and Guy. The difference was that Naruto was truly annoyed while he merely ignored the green beast of Konoha. Begin! Just as he said that, Lee dashed toward Naruto. The blonde raised his eyebrow. He admitted that Lee was quick, but his fox partner, namely Kibi, was faster and more vicious, though the fox couldn't use taijutsu for obvious reason, but definitely was still dangerous with its sharp fangs and claws. Now, should he fight Lee or play him around? Naruto smirked when he reached his decision. He parried Lee's punches, and after a minute of parrying at last he caught one of Lee's hand. Guy's pupil quickly changed his tactic and kicked toward Naruto's face. The blonde bent his knees and lowered his body. Lee twisted his kicking leg so it went down. With body still twisting, Naruto caught Lee's leg with his free hand. Lee had to twist his body when Naruto twisted his leg so to avoid broken bones. Naruto let go of his other hand from Lee's palm and used both of his hands to throw Lee to the nearest tree. Lee's feet landed on the tree trunk and he jumped to the ground, crouching on 4 legs. He had a happy smile plastered on his face. Wow, you're so great, Naruto-san! He shouted loudly. So naive a malicious idea soon formed on his brain as he remembered what the data he gathered about Lee said. Strong in taijutsu, couldn't use genjutsu and ninjutsu because he couldn't use chakra, his apparent affection toward his teacher he saw as his role model, and other things. Naruto gave out a wicked grin that was noticed by a worried Kakashi. There was nothing good came out when Naruto grinned like that. While he'd like to duel in taijutsu only with Lee, he had a better, more malicious, idea on his mind. He hoped that after he was done with him, Lee would change his annoying personality, and hopefully his green spandex, bowl-cut hair, and fussy eyebrow too. Naruto teleported out of Lee's front, effectively confusing the poor ninja. Since the arena was the wood circled by the red papers, he could easily find himself a place to hide from Lee to concoct his plan into reality. After all, why didn't use the arena when it was big? No sense of wasting it. His bug-hen Jed Shadow clone was assigned to keep watch on him, so he would always know Guy's pupil's location. Naruto took out a small scroll from his pack on his belt. He bit his thumb and smeared the blood on the scroll to summon the scroll's contents. The wound on his thumb was already healing. He glanced at the numerous flasks, tubes, and bottles there. All of them were his collection of poisons, potions, sprays, tablets, herbs, medicines, solutions, and powders of various kinds. Most were made by himself, while the rest he bought via mail, or he just plucked out of the forest. Naruto took a small blue box and took out one of the brown-colored tablet. He closed the box and put it back on the empty scroll. After he put the tablet on his pouch, Naruto did some hand seals and there was a popping sound. Smoke covered the scroll. When the smoke dissipated, the scroll was tied back and there was no sign of those bottles anymore. After crushing the tablet into powder, Naruto mixed it with a flask of fresh water. The tablet was actually a stimulant that could effectively affect a particular hormone. And from there the victim's brain would be affected indirectly. Since the result would heighten the victim's sense of fear, Naruto could just add a genjutsu in which Lee would project his own fear. It would be Lee himself who defeated himself. Closing the flask carefully so its content wouldn't spill, Naruto created 6 shadow clones. He gave the flask to one of the clones. Naruto performed the Kirigakyu no Jutsu. The first time he created this jutsu 2 years ago, he didn't know that it wasn't a new jutsu. Only after Zabuza said the name of the jutsu when he created the mist from the water around him did Naruto realize it. They dashed toward Lee to incapacitate him. It was a quick work. First, Naruto locked himself with a battle of taijutsu with Lee. It was admirable to see the boy still could respond his assault under such thick fog around them. Second, 5 of his clones attached themselves to Lee's hands, legs, and neck, effectively stopped his movement. Third, the real Naruto pushed Lee to the ground. The clone that attached itself on Lee's neck jumped and sat on Lee's chest. It was then the last Naruto clone opened the cap of the flask with his thumb and poured its content on the waiting mouth of Lee. Lee struggled and tried to close his mouth, but the clone was ready and opened Lee's mouth with its fingers. Lee drank the rest of the drink. The real Naruto put genjutsu by making hand seals and put 2 fingers on Lee's forehead afterwards. After his job was done, he dismissed all clones. The blonde boy stood in front of Lee's body. The bowl haircut boy was moaning and even sobbing while he muttered his sensei's name. Naruto stopped his Kirigakyu no Jutsu, and the mist dissipated. All eyes were pointed toward the sobbing Lee. His team members couldn't believe it. Lee was crying? That was something that was unexpected. Winner, Naruto, Kakashi muttered. The Jonin headed toward Naruto sternly. What did you do to him? Nothing, just a simple genjutsu that affected his brain. You did say that we could use anything, didn't you? Naruto smiled cheekily. Don't worry, he won't break down anymore in 10 minutes. What kind of false image you put on him? Naruto shrugged. Who knows? The only one who knows about it is Lee himself. My genjutsu made his own brain displayed his worst fear. There was no use to tell him about the stimulant tablet. He'd like to keep the secret about it himself. Since the training is over, I'll be on my own way. See you. The rest of Konoha ninjas were circling Lee, wondering what they should do to the now incapacitated genin. Kakashi was hard-pressed calming Guy from having nervous breakdown. Naruto has taken 10 steps from his spot when Neji came at him, face frowning. What was the drink you make Lee swallow? To amateur, it would sound like neutral tone, but Naruto was no amateur and he quickly noted a sign of hostility on his voice. Naruto smirked. Wouldn't you like to now? He raised an amused eyebrow. Inwardly Naruto reminded himself to put this Byakugan ability to see through mist to his notebook later. See you later. If Lee isn't able to be a ninja after this, he warned. You'll do what? Naruto challenged. It seemed that he needed to reevaluate and change Neji's manners he had wrote on his book. The guy was unexpectedly loyal, if you could say that, to his teammate. You'll close my tenketsu and torture me? Don't look so surprised like that, Hyuga. It wasn't as if it was a secret. The fact was that there was a detailed restricted archive about Hyuga Taijutsu style and some of Byakugan's ability, like seeing humans tenketsu. Naruto simply retrieved the data by transforming himself into the archive caretaker. He wanted to laugh at the lax of security placed on Hokage's tower. And they called themselves one of the 5 most powerful hidden villages. It was a wonder that Konoha still lasts to this day. It won't work on me, you know. I'm perfectly in control of my chakra. In fact, you can say that my him ability is the counter of your Juken style. And about that drink, let's call it pest repellent, shall we? I bet that after this, your friend over there, he tilted his head toward Lee, will avoid me after this and won't reveal himself around me for a long time. If he doesn't, let's just say that there must be something wrong with the working system of his brain. Neji almost said something when he heard his teacher called his name. This isn't over yet. Neji growled and turned around, gritting his teeth. You're welcome, Hyuga. Anytime, Naruto grinned widely, as he watched the pupilless-eyed boys retreating back. From the corner of his blue eyes, Naruto saw a short shadow behind a tree observing the matches earlier. It was Inari, and right now he was gaping at the spot where Naruto had rendered Lee catatonic. The young boy looked at him in awe before he stared back at Lee in confused disbelief. Wow, he heard Inari mutter the word, staring at him as if he was to be his new hero. Naruto smiled. Perhaps this kid could be saved after all. Inside him, Kyuubi was snorting at the thought of Naruto saving the kid. More like corrupting him, the fox muttered amusedly. Now, Naruto chastised his tenant. I'm certainly not corrupting him. Call it my gentleman charm, he said innocently. The kids are attracted to me like moth to flame. Never mind the fact that said animal would be burned when it touched the burning flame. The fox barked out a laugh from behind his bar, obviously amused, knowing that his host was anything but innocent. And of course Sandaime could give him proofs that he was no gentleman. Then again, gentlemen of old days fought between themselves using manipulation and brain instead of their brawn. Brawn was good and all, but it was always, mostly, the brain that decided the winner. And unfortunately for everyone who was Naruto's enemy, the blonde boy wasn't only backed by his brawn, but he also had the needed brain as well. Not a good combination to have in Naruto form, especially when said boy was such a mischievous troublemaker that generally always attracted chaos everywhere he went to. Kyuubi sighed in relief, knowing that his trickster legacy was inherited by his host. Or was it perhaps merely enhancing the already devious mind the kid had on his birth? He didn't know the answer, but he didn't care. It was nice to see that his vessel, the son of Yondaime who had sealed him inside the blonde baby, wreaked havoc on the world. His reputation still needed to be upheld after all. Take that, you goddamn asshole. Do you see that? Your son is mine. Hope you have fun watching your son and me over here. Kyuubi roared in satisfaction before he went back to plot his next course of action, thinking of the right ingredients to make a new potion for the next glorious prank. Target? Kyuubi tapped his paw on the floor, musing. Now that needed some more thoughts. Whoever their next target would be, it was obvious that the result wouldn't be pretty for the victim. But hey, why should a demon lord like him care? As long as the victim provided him amusement, he had nothing to complain about. Naruto tapped his foot impatiently, waiting for Inari to come with the wave map the kid promised him just minutes ago. Inari has come to him an hour ago telling him that he'd like to help him with anything. So Naruto told him to give him information about Gato. The kid told him everything he knew about the criminal lord from his dirty businesses and waved to the location of his base here in Wave. The blonde-haired boy perked up when he heard it. He told Inari to bring him a map of Wave, so he could tell him the exact location. There was loud sound of footsteps outside Naruto's room, followed by the door being slammed open by none other than grinning Inari with a roll of map on his arm. Naruto Nizan, here's the map! The boy yelled, shoving the map to Naruto's nose. No need to get that excited, brat. Naruto took the offered map and rolled it open. So, where's the location? Inari got behind Naruto and pointed to a spot in the map. It was a small island located between Wave and Water Country. No wonder Gato set up his base there. The island's location was strategic. There, he could control the movement of goods come and go from Wave to Water and vice versa. Not to mention, the Wave had to sail to reach Gato's base if they aimed to rebel. Problem was, Gato's men would notice them right away and they would have time to prepare. An island now, that would be a problem. He didn't think there would be any fisherman brave enough to bring him there. How far is that island from here? Inari looked up. 50 kilometers, I think. If you want to get there, you can sneak in one of Gato's ships there. There are 2 trips from here to that island and vice versa every day, Inari said as if he knew exactly what Naruto was thinking. You know which are Gato's ships? Naruto asked. The kid nodded eagerly. Alright, can you take me there tonight? You will sneak in tonight? Inari asked surprised. No, I just want to know the ship first. I'll probably do that tomorrow or 2 days after now. There is no use sneaking in if you get into the wrong ship. Oh, I don't think you'll get the wrong ship. It is easy to notice which ones are Gato's, Inari muttered bitterly. They're much bigger and grander. Don't worry when this is over, your people will own that kind of ships, Naruto assured him. Inari brightened and grinned happily. Come on. I'll show you. The kid was already on the door and dashed outside. Naruto patted his belly as he smiled victoriously. So easy to please, isn't it? Inside him, his tenant was shaking his head in amusement. In the pier, you see that big ship over there? Naruto nodded. He could tell exactly which one was Gato's ship. It looked like a giant compared to the much smaller ships around it. The 2 boys were hiding behind a wooden box 30 meters from the ship. There they could see Gato's men activities. Naruto noted every man's face there. He looked down toward Inari when he heard him growl. Naruto arched an eyebrow when he followed Inari's gaze. He was glaring at a tall, skinny, brown-haired man chatting with his comrades. You know him. It was a statement, not a question. Inari looked up startled, totally forgetting about Naruto's presence. The boy simply nodded before he stayed silent for a moment. He's Kaji, one of our people, the kid started. He's known as a bully among us. I heard he joined Gato a week ago. No wonder he felt so betrayed. Even if the man is a bully, he's still one of Wave's citizens, Naruto thought. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sight of the man. A bully, Gato's new man perfect. An evil smile reached his lips as an idea formed on his brain. Inari, go home, I still have something to do here. At the worried look plastered on the kid's face, Naruto continued, don't worry, I'm not doing anything remotely dangerous. I know my limit, Naruto grinned inwardly. He knew his limit, alright. He could easily kill every man in the harbor. But, go! I'll be alright. Oh, and don't tell the others about it, Naruto looked pointedly. But, go! You can tell them about it only if I don't come back until late midnight. Okay? Inari was hesitant and bit his lips. The kid nodded reluctantly before he ran away from the pier. His small form was swallowed by the darkness of night. Naruto continued to watch the man and his group for another half an hour before the man split up with the others. Naruto followed Kaji, who headed toward the town. The Kyuubi's vessel hit his neck, making the man drop to the ground unconscious. Naruto took the ankle of the unconscious man's leg and dragged him toward an abandoned wharf. He intentionally chose a bumpy road littered with rocks. No sense of making the man comfortable. Naruto deposited the man roughly to the floor, throwing him to a pile of broken wooden boxes. The man shook his head painfully. He was awakened from the rough landing and the splinters of wood pierced his body. He looked around him in confusion, before his gazes landed on Naruto's form. Who the fuck are you? How dare you? Naruto reappeared in front of Kaji. His nose almost touched the man's, whose eyes were so wide there was danger they would fall off their sockets. Naruto jabbed a finger roughly on his throat. Kaji choked, but there was no sound coming out of his lips. Nice, isn't it? You won't be able to talk or scream, whatever you prefer, Naruto smirked wickedly. Kaji's eyes widened with terror. I believe an introduction is needed here, no? My name is Uzumaki Naruto, a genin from the Leaf, Naruto grimaced when he said that. Kaji's jaw dropped in horror. Why? So you already know about us, after all. Now it will be easier then. The brown-haired man's hand reached toward a sharp wood splinter on the floor. The man grabbed it and charged Naruto with it. Naruto simply stepped aside and tripped his foot. The man's face landed on the floor. Well, ouch? Naruto said, not feeling even a bit compassion. The blonde tied his hands with a string on his pouch. Now, Inari told me you're being a bad boy, Kaji. Now, that's not nice. Naruto stepped forward. His hand raised Kaji's chin so the man's black eyes met with his own blue eyes. So, what's the punishment for such a bad boy like you? Kaji, in a moment of bravery or stupidity, whichever you prefer, spat on Naruto's face and mouthed, go to hell, you son of a bitch. Because his voice still disappeared. Needless to say, Naruto wasn't pleased. He touched his cheek where the liquid touched his face. His eyes narrowed harshly. Naruto tightened his grip on the man's chin and broke it.